Back in August, many people thought Oklahoma-Baylor would be the biggest game of the Big 12 season. We're here in November, and now it's a game of survival. Al Eschbach along with Jim Traber, Oklahoma, going against Baylor ESPN Plus today at 2 o'clock. And Jim, the similarities of these two teams are eerie. Both teams come in 5-3, both off modest 2-game winning streaks. One of them both at home against Kansas. Huge disappointments. One thing, only different, OU's going to be favored in every game they play. Baylor's going to be underdog in every game they play the rest of the year. It is just unbelievable. Two teams that just flat out are very good.
Well, I got to tell you, Al, you are fired up at 11 a.m. Dude. 11 a.m. is better time for you.
It's better, yeah, exactly right.
Listen,
yeah.
And I got to tell you, your opening was one of the best you've ever done. I couldn't agree with you more. You're right. I mean, I think I've told you this week. If I'd have told you in August that Baylor and the OU was going to run ESPN Plus, I mean, you screamed at me like you've never screamed at me. Yeah, it is amazing. You're right. These two teams are very similar. And you're right. It's survival. I mean, I couldn't have said any better. The winner of this game is still alive to try to get to Arlington. It's tough, but it is. And the loser's dead.
Yeah. Look, Baylor's schedule. They got OU, Kansas State, TCU, Texas left. Who are they going to beat?
They have beat the teams that aren't as good.
So it is just
the amazing thing about it is, and you've said this before, they can win every one of those games. They can lose.
Right. Yeah.
Same with OU.
I don't think Baylor can win every good game. I mean, I'd be.
You never know. I mean, they're playing better. They just don't live in Texas Tech. I'm not saying they're any good. I'm just
Well, I think both teams are coming in with some confidence, but much. I mean, and I looked at that Texas Tech game. The Penn State quarterback was terrible. Baylor gave up 164 yards rushing, 5.5. So if you would think if Gabriel wasn't turning the ball over, he's going to score a bunch of points. But Baylor should score a bunch of points. Baylor's defense ain't any good. They gave up 43 points to West Virginia, 36 to Oklahoma State. They're not good.
and I think you said something that was really important. I think both teams are going to try to run the ball.
Yeah, and they both have great success.
You're right. And OU's defense against the run, very challenging brought up in the worst of the league. I really didn't notice that, but I mean, the numbers don't lie.
And then last week, Tech ran for 164 yards.
Yeah, and that was 5 interceptions. You put 5 interceptions.
So yeah, it's a game.
There's no doubt they got some talent. They're not as talented as OU, but it's going to be interesting to see if OU. I'm really anxious to see now was OU's defensive performance last week, because I would say stinks offensively, or are they getting a lot better?
Well, or the same with Baylor. Was it Texas Tech being so bad at quarterback, right? So is their defense getting any better?
I agree. I think both of these teams.
Right, we don't know.
No idea about either one of them, but at least both of them have had a good game, and they both have won 2 in a row, like you said. So I think both of them are probably saying, "Hey, we're going in the right direction." And
Trying to get bowl eligible.
We
right
will
now.
see today. That's right. Bowl eligible is the first thing you got to do.
And you said it. The word sticks in my head, Jim. You said it last week on our pregame. Momentum. Both teams have a little momentum. A little bit momentum. So let's see what transpires the rest in November.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I'm really excited to see if OU's defense. This running back has run. He's had over 30 carries 2 games in a row. So they're going to run the ball. Now he's like about 5'9", like 185, but he's a tough kid and he can move. Yeah. He does some good things. And then of course we've been talking about it all year. I mean, Gray has just become a big time. I mean, if it wasn't for Deuce Vaughn, I don't know who. You got Robinson.
No Snoop.
Yeah. He's probably 3rd in the league right now.
Yeah, well, he came in last week going into leading the country in yards per carry.
I know. No, he's really done a really good job.
And we got to see the reemergence of Marvin Mims, because he had his worst game probably in his entire career.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, there's no doubt that he had his worst. He dropped like 3 balls, and that's just not him. We love the kid. He's a big time player. You brought up something interesting. You haven't seen him in that draft, in the first round lately. So I don't know if he's going to stay or not. He might be a little bit disappointed in just team not being as good. You just never know. But the dude's a good player. right? I mean, the guy is
no
a good
doubt he's
player.
a good player. Yeah, and you got to get back. You got to target him because he's your best receiver. Farouk has come on for OU.
Willis has turned about to be a really good player.
And Drake Stoops is just solid.
Drake Stoops. We never
What
even
a
talked
good
about
player
that
he
kid.
is.
You're right. He is a really, really good player. So, yeah, this is what you said to open it up is exactly right. It's for survival. The loser of this game could very well be on. Well, whoever loses this game, it's going to be a disappointing season. I mean,
without a doubt.
I mean, nobody thought they were going to have 4 losses.
Win 3 out of the last 4 games. I think anything else is not acceptable.
And then they'd be 8-4, which when you think about it in the beginning of the year, that'd be a big disappointment. But after losing those 3 in a row, you come back, and that's a good start for trying to build for next year.
So we'll see again with the OU defense. I would say it's a terrible offensive team. So let's see. I would think OU will try to play a 4-man front, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, sure. And I also think that they saw the great things that can happen when you get to the quarterback. Last week. I mean, if you I'll say the same thing I said about Deckers last week. If you let Shapen stand back there, he's going to pick you apart.
No doubt about it.
Anybody in this league can pick you apart.
As I look at Baylor, I think they're better offensively than I thought they were going to be before the season, and not as good defensively as I thought they were going to be.
That's probably good. Yeah, I would agree. They run the ball well. They got their offensive line's not as good as it was last year, but they're playing really well.
Shapen's a decent quarterback.
He's a nice player. Yeah, I mean, the amazing thing about this league this year is, as of right now, I mean, Duggan has had a tremendous year, but there's not a superstar. There's not a quarterback. I mean, look at Ewers. You and I really think he's got a chance to be good. He threw the ball all over the place against OSU.
Not in the days of the first-round quarterbacks.
Yeah, there's no Robert Griffin or Baker Mayfield or Mahomes or Kyler Murray. I mean, there isn't anybody there like that right now.
No.
And by the way, these teams have got to get a guy like that.
Absolutely.
And we thought maybe Ewers could be that guy. He's got it. Let me tell you something. That game up in Manhattan is a massive game for him because he's coming off a horrific game. Frankly, if he hits open receivers, they probably beat OSU. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, I bowed down to OSU coming back, but he had dudes wide open he couldn't hit. Kansas State is fired up. They're rolling. If he goes up there and has another bad game, I'm going to tell you, we talked about, if he plays really, really well, will Manning come? I mean, if he keeps playing bad, then he definitely will come, right?
Well, and Manhattan is the loudest place in the Big 12 Conference. It is psychotic up there.
Yep.
And that place would be crazy up there today with Texas going up there, because if they can win that game, they are really in good shape.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Ewers, he plays in the Cotton Bowl, which is psychotic. He played at OSU, which is becoming an unbelievable home field. And now he's going to Kansas State, which you said is the loudest in the league. So this dude is learning now. He is really learning about what it's all about to play here.
Well, and you know what? And he played well in the press pack game against Alabama first game of the season.
You're exactly right. We got a special guest here with our Lexus.
He's my old neighbor. He moved out of the neighborhood because I'm there.
Well, yeah, he said I couldn't live anywhere. What'd you say? Really?
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. You have to
we'll get on, all right?
That's okay. It's always good to see my man Ryan Broyles. We'll get you on here in a minute, I promise. But anyway, he probably wants to talk about what we've been talking about. You know what? Why don't I give mine to him, and then Al, you go ahead and talk to Ryan, okay? And then we'll try to get this one working. Here.
Yeah, Ryan, you moved out of the neighborhood, didn't you?
I did. I'm actually steps away from the stadium now. I'm here on campus.
He's big, man. He's renting the house now.
Okay.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Good to be out here. Beautiful day. Yesterday was a little scary, but now, football weather.
Let me ask you, what's your thoughts of the ex-players with Brent Venables? What's your thoughts?
Man, I think Brent V, man, he's definitely has a place in our heart, all the ex-guys, man. And him coming back out here means the world of difference. It's always good to see a guy back on the sideline. A familiar face. We got Smitty back as well, and some of the other guys. And so even Joe John and John Cooper, all the guys I played with back in the day, it's good to see them back on the sideline.
DeMarco
too, of course.
How was your relationship with the ex-players with Lincoln?
I did not play with Lincoln. So obviously I'd shake his hand, give him a hug when I see him, just have a mutual respect. But it's nothing like, a Brent V where you're going through the fight and trying to win games with.
Hey, let me ask you, this offense compared to what you were at. This is the Baylor offense, the Art Broyles offense. They spread things. What was the difference of the offense, what they doing compared to what you did when you were at OU?
Well, I came in, what was it, 07, 08 years, and that's when we had a bunch of like I formations, still had the DeMarco on it, just like remnants of Adrian Peterson, so we had the strong run game, and then we started opening it up with Kevin Wilson outside of that. But I think what made OU special back in the day is we can run the ball and we can pass the ball. And obviously Baylor, they kind of feel like they live and die by the pass. A lot of Big 12 teams are at this point.
A lot of balance, right?
Yeah.
And they tried to run it. Look, what Jim and I talk all the time of. I said, you got to utilize Marvin Mims like OU utilized you.
Yeah, I think every offense, to be special, legit, you got to have that quarterback receiver connection, and obviously you can't have too many of those guys. So obviously we've seen that with Mims over the years. Solid player. Obviously he needs some help, with Farouk and some guys like that. But they do a heck of a job, and they put their best foot forward every game.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Ryan. I got to get this in. You didn't drop a lot of balls when you're here, but what do you do like a Marvin Mims? I mean, he's a great football player. He had a terrible game. I mean, he dropped 3 balls. One of them probably was going to be a touchdown. What's your mindset coming off a bad game like that?
Just catch more balls during practice, man. I know we had the rule with Coach Norvell. We'd catch 200 balls a day, 100 before practice, 100 after. So it's just one of the deals, getting the routine. And, some of the timing might have been off for him, but at the end of the day, we've seen it. He can catch the ball in big plays and in big moments. So last week was last week. He's had a full week of practice now, and so on to the rest.
Mentally, is it going to be? Is it? What does he got to do mentally?
He's been playing football his whole life. What do you mean? It's just back to the grind, back out there catching balls like he's always done. So I don't think he should feel any type of way about having some mishaps last week. I dropped touchdown passes, and still to this day I dream about them. You know what I mean? So it happens to the best of us.
That's beautiful. So obviously Brent Venables brings something different, as far as what Lincoln Riley and them did. You don't have to comment on this, but I personally feel that Lincoln Riley's got kind of a sissified attitude, if you ask me. It's like score as many points you can. Okay, play defense, but just outscore them. But Venables is trying to change a little bit of that. Are you seeing that at all?
Yeah, well, you have to be balanced, man. If you want to win championships, you got to be balanced on offense and defense. Obviously, we've seen Lincoln Riley full of firepower on offense, and then it just kind of the offense was going to keep us in the game and help us win. Defense, hey, just bend but don't break. I think with Brent V being a defensive guy, obviously he's going to work that in. But, we're in a conference now and really in a day and age where you've got to score points. So I think Brent brings that value.
When you first got here, what were your thoughts about Schmitty? Did you in the Marines?
Jeez, yeah, I was a power lifter more than anything. I don't even know if I was an athlete during the summertime. It was just more about putting weight on that bar and bench pressing and squatting and deadlift and doing all the extra. But it'll make a man out of you still to this day. I wake up thinking I missed a workout. I'm not going to lie to you, man.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Anybody during my career in football or baseball that just tore me up, I ended up loving them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know if the kids nowadays, though, I don't know, man. They're a little bit different than even your era was to me. But I guess it seems like they look like they're in better shape. They look like they're working hard, huh?
Yeah, well, I don't think Smitty's I will say this. I was here from 08 to 11. Probably 10 and 11, Smitty kind of toned down a bit. And obviously we're a decade out from that. So these kids, you can't really beat them up, man. It's more of a finesse game now. It's not hard-nosed football like it used to be. And I don't think we need real men in this society. We do need real men in this society, but Smitty built us different then. I'm an 80s baby. Hey, hate to say it, the 90s and the 2000s might be a little softer, but hey, there's some warriors in that age group too.
It's interesting, Ryan. Jim and I talk about it all the time, how fans used to beat up on Landry Jones.
Yes, and I'm sure they wish he was back. I actually saw it on Twitter this past week. It's like, man, we had the Sam Bradfords and the Jason Whites, and then, you had Paul Thompson, and then Landry came in, and obviously he played a hell of a ball for 3 years straight, records for days, and it just wasn't good enough for him. And now we've got, you had the Kyler and the Mayfields, and now we're back to almost, wouldn't call it average, above average here, but
yeah, they take him back.
It'll make you think twice about hating on a quarterback when they leave out.
I can't explain to you how many times Al and I had to stick up for him. I don't know why, but we had to stick it. People just love to rip the guy.
I will say this, man. We are, as OU fans, we want the best all the time, but I think we are fickle as well. If it's not championship football, it's not good enough. Whereas, this is a great football, even this season, for half the teams in the country. You know what I mean? So we're just kind of spoiled, which is a good thing. Put a lot of good product on the field.
Hey, I'm going to ask you one last thing, and I'll get it to Al. How close were you to going to OSU?
I was very close, man. I have this question all the time, man. I grew up right here in Norman, so I think for me and my boys, Moses Madu here to play running back, we were always like, hey, we got to get out of Norman. So I had offers all over the Big 12, official visits up north in Michigan, Tennessee offers, and I was like, I'm going to get out. But then when you really think about it, the next 4 years of my life, do I want to leave my family, my girlfriend at the time? It just, I had to come back and just stay at home, man.
Last question. Throw yourself out of this. Rank OU's receivers since Bob Stoops came to OU.
Yeah, just like
I get this question every year, too.
I know.
Top
So what?
five?
Yeah. Put you on the spot, man.
Top 5 under what, since 2000?
Since 2000.
All right, well, geez, I've got to be number one.
Well, yeah.
I got to be number
You know
one.
what?
I think Mark Clayton's definitely there. CeeDee Lamb, obviously, we've seen what he's done. Sterling Shepard, if going off stats, Sterling Shepard's up there.
Stills.
Kenny Stills in there, Hollywood. Yeah, we got hella players, man. Yeah, so I don't want to miss any of the guys, but the way I look at sports now is obviously you can make the routine catch. I've got a little 7-year-old now. I'm like, listen, anybody and their mom can go out there and make a great catch. What are you going to do after you catch the ball? And that's how I differentiate greatness. I like to see those guys do more than just the routine. It's okay to get the catch, but we got to score, man.
Hey, thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. Yes, sir.
Ryan Broyles, right out here at on Countdown to Kickoff. Oklahoma going against.
Yeah, by the way,
Baylor.
he's going to be right over here, right? You're going to be signing autographs right here with Lexus. Great dude. I'll always love when we have Ryan on. He probably is a number one wide receiver.
Yeah, he held the record for most receptions career-wise, and it would have been more if he didn't, tear his knee up.
And think about that. The mind-boggling thing about that is that he's going to go to OSU, and then in the last minute, they basically say Cale Gundy didn't want his brother to get him out of Norman.
Yeah.
So they go, I hear there was a lot of back and forth. Yeah. And they say, okay, let's get him. And then he turns out to be the best wide receiver they've ever had.
Yeah, it just, you never can tell.
What was he, like a 3-star?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. He became a lot better than a 3-star.
Oh, and they utilized him the way they utilized him.
And he's right. He ran with the ball after he caught
really
it.
well.
He's a big-time football player and great dude, man. Sure appreciate him. Like I said, he's going to be down here right next door. Countdown to Kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, live from historic Campus Corner in Norman. We're in the RV General Store. Sports Animal Mobile Studios. This is all driven by Eskridge Lexus. Sometimes that's hard to say when it's early. Although, I'm telling you, Al, 11 o'clock and you're on fire, dude.
This is unbelievable. Yeah.
I mean, my gosh.
Do you realize every game OU has played outside of Norman this year has been 11 o'clock kickoff?
Well, there's going to be another one next week.
Exactly.
That's crazy. When we get back, we'll talk to Mr. Barry Trammell. He looks a lot better in that jacket today because you need one today. We'll be back on the Leader in Sports, The Animal.
hasn't played the meat of the Big 12 schedule.
You're right.
OU has. OU's also played the bottom of the Big 12, Kansas and Iowa State. So they're starting to get into the
Middle guys.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both a little bit unknown.
Oh, no, Kansas is better than West Virginia.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. Just marginally, though. Just marginally.
Yeah, the bottom. They're all kind of equal.
Yeah, they played and went to overtime. And
Kansas with Daniels is pretty good. Their offense
Yeah.
is good. Their defense is bad, but
Yeah.
no, that's a good point. Alex said it best. He said basically that these two teams are playing for survival today, and he also said that these two teams are eerily similar. I mean, it's crazy the way their seasons have kind of gone together. You know,
now, here's what, we focus on the Sooners and the Cowboys, and naturally so, but think about it from Baylor's standpoint. The Baylors are what, 5-3?
Yep.
If they lose today, they still got Texas, TCU, K-State.
you're right. They could not make
They
a bowl.
They could not make a bowl game.
You're right. I mean, this is a massive game for them, and I don't know. They obliterated Tech. The Tech quarterback threw 5 interceptions. OU goes and beats Iowa State. Finally plays some defense. We know Iowa State's offense isn't very good, so I think this game will show. It's crazy. In the 9th game of the season, we're trying to still figure out some things. Am I right?
Yeah, and you know what I think, guys? Tell me if I'm wrong, but that's probably true of most teams in the middle. I mean, let's put it to the test. OSU's had some years like this where they were 5-3 and just sort of so-so. Did we say around in Game 9, we don't really know what we're going to get from the Cowboys? OU for 8-9 years, 7 years, whatever it is, they've been in the top 10, top 5, been in the playoff discussion, been a Big 12 title contender. This is the first time since.
But I think with a new coaching staff, and they looked about as bad as a team could look at times this year. Now they also, that Nebraska game, they looked unbelievable. So, a lot of times those OSU teams you're talking about, they were kind of up and down in the middle. This team has been way up and way down. So that's what I'm saying.
I got a question for you. You jogged my memory about something.
Okay.
Since playing the Sooners, Nebraska has been just so-so against mediocre Big Ten teams.
Right.
Is that an indictment of the Big Ten and how bad the Big Ten is below the top 2 or maybe 3?
Yeah.
Yes, no doubt.
No doubt.
It's
the West
terrible.
is horrible.
It is.
I bow down to what Bielema is doing, but they're not any good.
No.
Illinois is not any good.
And I thought this, and this is both you argue against. You're both probably right. It's like I say a really good coach will get Nebraska back. Look what Bielema said at Illinois. Are you kidding me? Put Bielema at Nebraska. They're pretty good.
Yeah, of course, the problem is the divisions are going away. So, back to being the top.
But I'm just saying what a coach can do. They're not going to get back to what they did.
No,
but they can make them respectable.
You guys have heard the big rumor of the week.
What?
What new one? What's that?
Dave Aranda's candidate at Nebraska.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think it'd be nuts to go. That's what I
I
think.
totally agree with you.
It'd be nuts.
I don't know. Look, Al and you and I've argued about Nebraska for years. I think that you've been right and I've been right about it, but I just don't know. Gosh, Baylor's done a whole bunch more than Nebraska has in the last 10 years.
Look at Illinois. Are you kidding me?
But here's my point.
Illinois, by the way, they won a game 9-6 over Iowa.
Illinois is having a nice year, but Illinois isn't anywhere close to being a national title.
No. Just get respectability back.
Where would Illinois be in this league? 5th, 6th?
I don't think that high.
Yeah. That's how bad the West is up there.
But here's the point about Baylor. Access to players, much greater. Chance of getting fired, much worse. Chance of winning your league.
Better, you mean, actually. Right.
Well, if you much less chance of getting fired in Baylor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Much better chance of getting in the playoff.
You're right.
I'm hard, unless they're paying more money, which they probably would. That's the only reason I can think of to go to Nebraska.
I've read out if it's true. Some people think that rule is just going to sit this next year out.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Got a lot of money.
I haven't seen a good job.
Hey, here's another thing that's positive for Baylor. OU in Texas is leaving.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Yeah, Nebraska's got USC and UCLA coming in.
I agree with both of you.
Nuts. Yeah, the Big Ten's going to get better, and the Big 12's going to get worse.
Yes.
I mean, and then you've been 10 years at Baylor has been a lot better than 10 years at Nebraska. I mean, I wouldn't leave.
And
I'm with
the
you.
access, he's right. Access to players. It ain't even close.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's got Houston and Dallas right near him.
My goodness.
I mean, nobody likes to speak the word, but tip of the hat to Art Broyles. He showed people that being in Waco, Texas can be an advantage.
No.
For 20 years, we sort of said, Baylor's not any good, never going to go anywhere. But being right in the middle of all those ball players.
Especially in that high school stadium they played in.
Yeah. But Baylor got with it. And I remember a conversation on the radio, probably 2004, a specific conversation, 18 years ago. We mapped out a plan for Baylor to make a bowl. How could they build their program up to make a bowl? And now they've been in 4 major bowls in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
So undergone 2 coaching changes and really 3, and a major scandal. And yet, they...
Well, and it goes back to my point. Anywhere you can get a great coach, you can turn the program. Look what Broyles did at Baylor.
Yeah.
I wanted Baylor kicked out of the Big 12.
Yeah, that's
if you
true.
remember.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
they
right.
were bringing nothing to the table. Basketball was a joke.
I was sort of with you.
No, and a lot of people made fun of me, but what were they bringing? All they were doing was bringing money in from other teams. Now,
Women's basketball,
Yeah,
Jim,
but back
don't
then-
ignore it.
But back then, though, their basketball was terrible too. When I was saying that, they weren't bringing a penny to the program.
And they were undergoing scandal in basketball.
That's right. That's exactly
Yeah, they're
right. So,
embarrassing the Big 12.
but you know what? I'm glad I was wrong because now they're a big part of this league, and they're going to be a really big part of it going forward.
And a whole lot of that is geography. They're 100 miles from Dallas. They're 100 miles from Austin. They're 150 miles from Houston.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's football all around them.
And in basketball, they're one of the best in the country right now.
They're unbelievable what they've done down there. Yeah,
they're
no
getting
doubt.
a new arena.
I did not know that. They're building a new
Yeah,
arena.
they're getting a new arena at Baylor.
Wow.
Well, that arena's nice. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Well,
It's just
it's
old.
not all that nice, and it's not all that old. I think it opened in '96. I think Baylor opened the Big 12 playing in the heart of Texas Coliseum. I think year 2 was the Farrell Center's opening. So
Where are they building it? On campus?
Yeah, it's right there. I think it's right there on the river near the football stadium.
Oh,
maybe
my
on
God.
the south side, I think maybe.
Well, I mean, that basketball program.
Yeah, look at OU can't build an arena from the 70s. They got their arena. They can't build a new one.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We were thinking about this in basketball. The Big 12 was won the last 2 national championships and was it double overtime or overtime for Texas Tech? They could have won 3 in a row.
Tell me about it. DeAndre Hunter checks up 3 with 10 seconds
I
left.
know it.
And they got DeAndre Hunter in the corner.
I mean, think about that. The Big 12 could have won the last 3 national
And
championships.
guess what? You got Houston coming to the league, and they're ranked in the top 4 this year.
And you know what? Frankly, OU and OSU, unfortunately, they're not a part of that right now.
No,
They're not. They're just not. I watched a little bit of the OSU scrimmage the other day. They look about the same. I don't know about OU's basketball. You think OU's going to be any good? Why'd that assistant coach leave? Did something bad happen that we don't know about?
I don't know.
They can't keep assistants. That's
I
the
wonder
bottom
what
line.
happened.
What is that?
Right before the season?
What I heard that he's a grinder.
Oh, you mean the head coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, but why would someone leave right before the season? That's crazy.
And he
isn't it?
sort of got defensive when he was asked about it this week.
Yeah, I don't know. The other 2 guys, one left for a head coaching job, not a great job, Cal State, whatever, Cal Poly, Riverside, whatever it is. And then the other guy went to join Calipari's staff. So,
Sure.
but this was an alarm.
Yeah, what this guy? He's not going to join anybody.
He didn't have a job.
Let's talk about some games around the country. The big one, Tennessee and Georgia. Got to tell you, you talk about eerie comparisons. This is very similar to what Josh Heupel did in 2000 here.
As a quarterback, no doubt about it. So that offense has the nation by, charm. Everybody's enthralled with it. I will say, outside of Vegas didn't do this. Everybody seems to be forgetting a little bit about how good Georgia is.
You're right.
They got a whole bunch of big-time ball
Look
players.
what they did to Oregon.
Yeah. So if they can slow, if Heupel and Hooker and those guys can get into the 30s on Georgia and win this game 35-31, then I bow down.
Oh, man.
By the way, you got an upset going on. Northwestern beat Ohio State.
What is it? 3-0?
7-0.
7-0. Must have been a fumbled muff punt or something.
Why don't we have any games on here?
TCU, Texas Tech, 7-7.
Yeah, go Texas. Who was it? Texas Tech. Go Texas Tech.
You want TCU to lose?
No. Well, I don't really care if they win or lose. I don't think TCU is that good. Last week I had West Virginia against them, plus the points, and they had that ridiculous play at the end.
Bad beat, as they say.
That's right. And I've got Tech today getting 8.5. I know Tech looked bad last week, but I just don't. Listen, it's amazing what TCU is doing, but I don't think they're one of the top 6, 7, 8 schools in the country. I don't.
They're not going to the field.
Do you guys believe that they're in the top? Are they a top 7 team in the country?
They might be top 7. I mean, I can only think about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, really.
2 in the Big Ten, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee. That's 5 right there.
Yeah, that's 5.
Oregon? Are they better than Oregon? I don't think so.
I don't know, maybe.
If Alabama and TCU played on a neutral field, what do you think would happen?
Alabama, Tennessee?
No, Alabama, TCU. Neutral field.
Well, Alabama would probably beat them, but TCU would score a ton.
USC, TCU 70-69 game.
Yeah, you're right. That would be ugly. So
I watched a good Pac-12 game last night.
Washington, Oregon State.
That was a fun game.
Washington, Oregon State. I didn't watch any of it, but
I watched a little bit. Who wound up winning?
24-21 Washington, walk-off field goal, basically.
Wow.
3 seconds left.
So who are you picking, guys? Tennessee or
I got Georgia. I got Georgia.
Will they cover the spread?
I don't know. What is it, 8.5?
8.5.
I assume. Probably not. Probably be 35-28 or something.
Who do you like, Al?
I'm not betting against Georgia at home.
No.
Are you?
This is the type of game that great teams play great, right? Usually in a game like this. And as you can see, the wonderful drum corps coming by here. So I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, if Tennessee wins this game, this is a great win. I mean, a great win. Because between the hedges is not the easiest play nowadays. Now, Georgia did lose their number 1 player, their number 1 defender.
Did you see what Eric Ainge said? He's the former Tennessee quarterback.
I remember him, sure.
He does Knoxville radio now. And this week he said that Sanford Stadium, Georgia, is not one of the better home environments of the SEC.
What a moron to say that. I thought, oh, my God, that place is going to be nuts.
Did he give a reason?
Well, maybe it's true. But, yeah, you can't imagine Heupel and the Volunteers are saying, what are you doing, man? Because you know it's going to be loud. And if it wasn't going to be loud, it's going to be loud. It's like Bob Stoops in the Tech game.
Right, exactly.
You know, Fat Jack does radio all over the country. And one of the places he does it is in Knoxville. And he just said that those people in Tennessee, when they're good, they are literally like they think they're a lot better than they are. And when they're bad, they think they're a lot better than they are. So, but no, I can't wait to watch it. Al and I are going to be over at Othello's right now.
Yes.
We've got one TV for OU, one TV for OSU, and one TV for that game. What a threesome going on.
That's good.
What do you think about Stillwater? I mean, not Stillwater.
Lawrence? If Sanders is semi-healthy, I like OSU, but I don't think he is. So I'm picking Kansas.
Yeah. Al?
I'm the same way. I just – and another – I can't get out of my mind what happened last week at Kansas State.
I can't. It's hard.
You go to K-State and get beat even 48-21 or 48-28. You think, well, yeah, just bad day. You get beat 48-0, and that's a 3-alarm fire.
I totally agree. What about the big game in the Big 12, Kansas State, Texas? I told Al, Ewers played about as bad as he probably could play against OSU, and then they have a whole week off. This game is huge for Ewers. If he starts throwing the ball all over the place, they're not only going to get beat, but those Texas fans are going to start doubting him.
Well, I got a question. I thought he looked pretty good against Alabama, but that was 1 quarter.
1 quarter.
I didn't think he looked all that great against OU.
He missed some throws against OU, too.
I thought he could have lit up the Sooners a lot worse. Yeah. And then he goes to Stillwater and is awful. What if he's just not that good?
You might be right. I mean, listen, you can't go off of just 1 quarter. And Alabama's defense is obviously not as good as we thought it was. So you might be right. Al and I mean, we both thought after watching him that first quarter was like, man.
What if the 2 best quarterbacks in Manhattan are both wearing purple today?
Well, then Texas is in trouble.
Hey, who's he starting in Manhattan?
Not going to decide. He's been playing games. You know, he's no nonsense. He's like your next door neighbor, the mailman. But he's been playing mind games with Texas. They even asked him if Martinez is healthy, might you still start Howard? And he said, yes, I would consider it. So he's screwing with them the whole way.
You gotta start Howard.
I'm not taking Howard out of the game. No. I mean, Martinez did some nice things, but man, Howard's playing great.
And I don't know the answer. To me, it all goes down to the game plan and the scheme. Do they think they can protect Howard? Do they think the Texas pass rush is going to be pretty severe? If so, I think you go with Martinez. If not, go with Howard.
Or if Martinez throw, you got a short leash on him.
Yeah.
They got a running back too now. Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn.
He
I love
is
Deuce
a
Vaughn.
good player, man. He's gonna. You know what? He's gonna go in like the 4th or 5th round in the draft. You mark it down, and he'll do something. He'll do something in the NFL.
I bet he goes higher.
I don't know, man. Them running backs.
He can catch the ball in the
Yeah,
backfield. I think he goes
Now,
high.
he's not going to go first round. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'll bet somebody goes 3rd round on Deuce Vaughn.
Well, I would take him in the 3rd round. I mean, the dude could flat out play. What about Alabama, LSU?
I have a feeling Alabama's going to light them up. I can't remember what I picked. Maybe I picked a close game. But I was thinking last night, LSU's doing pretty well, but they're still not back to being vintage LSU. I think Alabama's mad. I think they're angry. I think they feel disrespected. I think they're going to light up Baton Rouge.
LSU's getting good quarterback play. That's the difference between them early in the year and
Yeah.
right now.
That's the difference with LSU every year. Because every year they're putting 5 or 6 dudes into the draft. There's wide receivers. I'm going to tell you, if you took the LSU wide receivers that are in the NFL right now, you'd have the most unbelievable team ever. They got dudes everywhere. But the one year that they got great quarterback play, they won the national championship, right? Now, this kid's not Burrow, but he's playing good, man. I remember, Al remembers this. I remember when Daniels was a freshman at Arizona State, and I was up late one night watching the game, and I came on the air next day, and I said, Al, you got to watch this Daniels kid, man. He's unbelievable. And he played great as a freshman, and then he had 2 years where he was terrible.
Well, it's sort of a dysfunctional place.
Yeah, good point.
So
good point.
I can understand.
Yeah, and Kelly, obviously, a lot of people don't like the guy, but he's a good football coach.
He's a good coach. I'm just glad he's not coaching somebody I have to deal with.
That's probably a good way to put it. All right, Tramp, tell us about this game. I mean, I think you can line up 100 people. You might get 50 picking OU and 50 picking Baylor.
I just think it's a bad matchup for the Sooners. Baylor loves to run. OU's been terrible against the run. Baylor's going to try to hammer it. Even when OU's been bad on defense, they've been pretty stout against the run. That goes back 40 years. And I don't know that this OU front line and the linebackers can stand up to Baylor. Baylor's offensive line's big time. And they got that freshman tailback. I think it's going to be very tough for the Sooners to corral that Baylor running game.
And Al and I were talking early. Don't you think OU's going to try to run the ball a lot too?
I would.
Cliff ran 164 yards against Baylor last week.
Yeah.
So, you should be able to. I think it's a high-scoring game. Baylor's defense ain't very good, is it?
They're not anything like they were last year.
No.
Al said early in the thing, he said, their offense is better than I thought. Their defense isn't as good as I thought.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. They also good. They got Petrie's in the NFL now, the safety.
Yeah.
He's Big 12 Player of the Year. He's really good.
Who was that linebacker, the white kid
I
last
forgot.
year? He was a good player, man. He was all over the field.
Now, Dave Aranda knows what he's doing on defense, so they'll be lined up right. I don't think you're going to see Marvin Mims running down the middle of the field wide open. But I do think that.
Well, if he is, you better catch it.
Yeah, you better catch it.
Yeah. So what's your score? Is it high? 30s?
I said 28-27.
Oh, so you got a little bit lower.
Yeah, a little bit lower. 28-27.
All right, Tramp. Appreciate you. Anything else going on?
No, I don't think so. We lost a tough one in volleyball last night.
Really?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Your grandbaby, man.
She's left. This one's 11.
Hey, how hard is it to watch your grandbabies?
It's fun.
I love it too, but
not hard at all.
But
I
if
have
they don't
thought of
do
this.
well though, or something
Here's
a
the
little bit
deal.
here and there.
Yeah, because they can sort of shrug it off. I've thought about like at this level or like Patty's softball team.
Yeah.
Or, OSU bat. What it doesn't matter. Even high school. Golly, if big crowd there and they're in the spotlight, I would be living and dying with every.
I'm telling you, man,
extra
it's not
play.
easy, man. When my grandson's playing with pads this year for the first time, and he comes up, Al, and he they got this big kid, and he stiff arms my boy, and he's trying to tackle, and the guy goes by him, and I'm just sitting up there going, "Oh man, make the tackle!"
Yeah, when Tinley's serving, Mercedes batting, it really feels like a 2-point conversion at the end of an OU or OSU game.
but it sure is good to be a grandpa, huh, guys?
That's pretty good.
It's
Pretty
the best there is. Okay, thanks, Jim.
good. See you guys.
Appreciate you very much. Countdown to kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, right here on the Sports Animal. And we're on Campus Corner. RV General Store, Sports Animal Mobile Studios. And it's all driven by Eskridge Lexus. And I'm supposed to read something about Lexus, and I can't find it. So hold on a second. I will do something now. Hold on. Here I go. There's nothing here. So, oh, yeah, here we go. The all-new Lexus NX with an available 14-inch touchscreen and the most advanced standard active safety system in a Lexus, so you can focus on what matters most. Experience amazing at Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. It's a good thing that I learned to read when I was young. Coming up, we got somebody else. I don't know who it is. Mark Rogers coming up next. Stay with us on the Leader in Sports, the end.
Al Eschbach over to Traber here on historic Campus Corner in Norman, Oklahoma. Baylor at a 2 o'clock noon. I never remember ever a 2 o'clock kickoff before.
I have never done a pregame show for a 2 p.m. game.
I agree.
Matt Meyer, has there ever been a 2 o'clock? We're bringing in Mark Rogers. I know Mark is a big-time historian.
Yeah, not that I can remember. A bunch of, back in the day, every game was at 1:30.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of games at 2:30 before they started putting some of the better games at night. But 2 o'clock kind of splits the difference. I don't remember one.
And I guess, Mark, that OU had the
choice, right, Mark?
Of time to make the kickoff.
Marcus?
Mark?
I can't hear you guys.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. That's
Okay,
better.
good. You're the one that told me OU had the choice, right? If it's on ESPN Plus, the home team gets to choose. Is that correct, Mark?
Yeah, they choose the time. 1:30 was the kickoff before every game was on television. But I don't know why they would choose 2 as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, when I was at OSU,
Maybe.
I was going to say when I was at OSU, every game was 1:30, except when we went to Arkansas, we played at night. And but yeah, that's crazy. You're right. It's a crazy deal. 2 o'clock, and I bet you Joe Castiglione was really happy that he could choose his own time instead of 11 a.m.
And I think recruiting even though this is not a big recruiting weekend at all for OU, so it really doesn't matter. Mark, 2 teams, the 2 biggest disappointments in the Big 12 Conference, because Baylor was picked number 1 in the conference, OU was picked number 2 in the conference.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite as disappointing for Baylor. I mean, they haven't been beat 49-0 by anybody yet. Their losses were kind of close games, and I think they probably feel like they're still in it. I think this is a big step up for OU this week in competition. The last 2 weeks, probably a Kansas team with a backup quarterback and a bad defense, and then an Iowa State team with a wretched offense. This will be a challenge for OU because Baylor's a lot better on both sides of the ball. They got a lot more complementary football teams. Their defense is not as good as anyone expected it to be. They've given up points in different kinds of ways, but their offense has moved the ball pretty well. They've turned it over at times. I don't think their running game is as strong as it was a year ago. They missed Tyquan Thornton, who was an early draft pick in the NFL. It's just not the same team. It's not quite as good as it was last year, but still, I think it's good enough to win today.
Mark, who was that linebacker last couple of years for Baylor? White kid, really good player. You remember his name? I can't remember his name.
Talking about the Hager kid?
I mean,
Yeah, Hager. That's his name, isn't it?
Well,
yeah.
They've got one back that's been really good the last couple of years for them too. So, but I think Hager's going back a ways.
Yeah, that may be going back too far. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there was a really good linebacker the last couple of years that's gone. But go ahead.
Mike Singletary?
No, yeah, he was a little bit further back there too.
Just asking. Well, yeah, it's a game. I mean, OU's a slight favorite. I mean, I don't know. You look at Baylor. I mean, they lost to a bad BYU team. They lost at West Virginia. So, I mean, 2 teams and Baylor's schedule the rest of the way. They got TCU, Kansas State, and Texas.
Yeah, we were saying, Mark, if Baylor loses today, dude, they're going to be hard pressed to get to a bowl game. They got to beat all 3 of those other teams, or one of them.
Well, that's right. But I mean, I just think if you kind of look at outlier results in this league, I mean, there's some scores that are
crazy,
kind of out of hand a little bit, but everybody's really the same. I mean, Baylor beat Texas Tech 45-17 last week, and I don't think that was Tech's a better football team than that. They got 5 turnovers that game. So turnovers and just how you play that day, who's got a backup quarterback in, kind of determines a lot of how competitive teams are. So I think that the problem for OU today is that this is a team that can really run and throw. And for whatever reason, watched a lot last week, the OU zone pass coverage is just not good. They just stand around at times. They allow guys to catch the football. They're not great at space to know where to go. They did make some interceptions in the second half last week. I think, better against the run. This isn't, again, one of the top running teams in the Big 12, but OU's got to do better when they drop into zone pass coverage. And they cannot get pressure. I mean, last week they tried to bring corners. They brought safeties. They brought guys on delayed blitz. And they just didn't get very much pressure. So they can't win a whole lot of battles one-on-one on the edge against teams in the Big 12.
Well, they got to keep doing that because they had 1 sack last week, but at least they were in the dude's face.
Yeah, he didn't have all day to throw the ball like these other games.
And Mark, Deckers is probably the worst quarterback in the league. This kid here, Shapen today, he's decent player. But if you just let him stand back there, he's going to pick you apart, right?
That's fair. That's 100% true. If you're going to drop into this again, they're not very good at zone coverage. So why not bring an extra guy? That is standing around back there. But they're still, not really getting home. But that's something that they really have to work on. I think in the offseason is a lot better zone principles because it's been this way for quite a while.
I always say, Al, you and I've talked about it for years and years and years. If you're going to lose, I'd rather lose aggressively. If you're going to get beat, I'd rather be aggressive about it. Instead of just dropping back and letting them hit an 8-yard pass and then a 10-yard pass. Just go. That's what they did. Now, Iowa State's offense is horrible, but at least they may have gained a little confidence. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's helped them getting Bowman back, which puts Woody Washington back at cornerback.
You're right. And Woody Washington I don't know, is it the first game since he's been here that we really said, yeah, now that's the
he's played well. That's what we thought he's going to be good this year.
Yeah, well, this year he hasn't been as good, but nobody has. And you're right. Yeah. You got to get Bowman in there so people can play in the right positions, Mark.
Yeah, too. I mean, and I also think it's more than just corners. It's the time for linebackers being out of position, and that matters in the passing game as well.
Yeah, they're not. The linebackers, Stutzman's been up and down this year.
Yeah, he has. No, you're right. I will tell you this. I love to see football players learn things, and he learned something last week. He learned if a guy's crossing me, I got to run with him a little bit, and he got that interception. He got burnt to one time, and then he got the interception. And then I guess he said after the game, he said, Brent's been yelling at me about, doing that, and he finally did. So that's a good sign, I guess, a little bit, right? Right, Mark?
This sign, yeah. He's good. He's talented. Just young. But yeah, you would hope that they learn from mistakes.
You can break when you're ready.
It's kind of tough.
Let me ask you, Mark. Let me ask you this. You were the first person, because you do such an unbelievable job of knowing the high school football in Oklahoma. You were the first person that said to me about this Downs kid, right? He's from Weatherford, correct? Is that where he's from?
Yes, he's from Weatherford.
And you told me about a couple of years ago, you said, man, this dude can do it all. He's going to be really good. Watch out. He's going to be recruited by big teams. And he did. So far, he's been kind of up and down. Tell me, Mark, is it because he's really not in the position that he needs to be in your opinion?
No redshirt year for him. I mean, he went out there and played last year, so he was a true sophomore, playing against a lot of guys that are bigger, and older. And yeah, he's out of position. He's really good on his feet. He played fullback, tight end. The high games, he's not going up against guys that are on. And tougher than they put him in with his hand down on the interior a lot in high school too, and he made a real big impact there. I think he is still a little bit positionless. But he didn't have that year to get bigger in the weight room without having to play and all that kind of stuff. So he's going to have time to add, to his frame. And then I think that you can start to talk about maybe a couple of different positions for him to play. But he's a better athlete on his feet than to play a three-man front, the defensive end position.
What about some of the big games? Tennessee and Georgia.
Pick Tennessee, Mark.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. I hope Tennessee wins. I think Tennessee's got a chance to play good today. Georgia's been fantastic the last couple of years, but I think Tennessee kind of has that little special feel to them that, they may be a little team of destiny. Really good receivers, really good quarterback.
Like OU in 2000?
Well, it's the same guy.
I know.
That team.
I know. And I got to tell you,
second year.
If he's not standing there in the locker room going today and kind of explaining to all these kids that he's been through this before, they won a national championship, he's wasted an opportunity.
You know what, though? I brought his name up to my class, and none of the kids were alive then.
No, that's a good point.
They go, who are you talking about?
No, that's a really, really good point. So you're picking Georgia or are you picking Tennessee? Who are you picking?
Go with Tennessee.
I'll take Tennessee. I'll do a Traber special. I'll get in the middle here. I'll go with Tennessee in a point, Georgia to win.
See, that's unbelievable you guys rip on me. But what's wrong with saying that? Is that a Traber special? Get out of here.
It's like a fence. It's a little fence riding.
Okay, Alabama, LSU.
I think Alabama has weakness. I think that their secondary has struggled. I don't think they have the wide receivers and running backs that they've had in the past because there's so many guys in the NFL. So it's not Alabama's slightly down year, and they're still got a great chance to win the Western Division at the SEC. I just don't think LSU's the team to do it. I mean, LSU at night and all those kind of things. I know Alabama had games in which they didn't play very well, but I don't see it today.
Okay, give us the
Now,
score.
it could be within 10. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Sure.
I don't know. I mean,
Right.
I think that's hard to decide,
Yeah.
but I think Alabama will.
Okay, what about in Lawrence? Who you got up there?
I got Kansas. I like Kansas in the game quite a bit. I did see that Brett McMurphy said Jason Dean's going to start, but they thought that Daniels would warm up and then have a chance to play. I think he's going to play some today. I think the mystery is what's going to happen with Oklahoma State. And after so many weeks of hearing all these Spencer Sanders rumors, is there something that's going to keep him from playing the rest of the year? Being banged up as much as he has, I think there's one thing we can all say about him. He's been prone throughout his career, and at times he's made some bad decisions. But this is going to be one of the tougher guys I think OSU's ever had, because he has been hurt and pretty significantly hurt. Yet he's gone out there every week to try to play, and wanted to play last week in the second half, even though his team was getting killed. So I'll give him a lot of credit for that.
Oh, he's a tough dude. You're right. Okay, here in Norman.
I think it's going to be really close. And I think it's going to be high scoring. The total on the game was set pretty low based on expectations of the weather forecast early in the week, which was way, way early, of a bunch of rain. It didn't even rain that much in Norman last night anyway. But I would say in this one, I think with you, this one comes down to a field goal. I think Baylor's going to win it. I'm going to say 38-35.
All right, Mark. Thanks a lot. Good job. Appreciate you.
All right, see you guys.
Mark Rogers, you listen to him every morning.
Let's get Marcus Dupree. Come on up
Marcus,
here.
you want to come up?
Come up, Marcus.
Get Marcus Dupree up here. We want to put the.
Come on, go around.
Come around. Let's get you on for a couple. Marcus Dupree coming on here on Campus Corner. Countdown to kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, and we got a lot more coming up for you. Don't forget now, people. Listen closely. Our post-game show is going to be on 98.9 Kiss FM, our sister station. We got Thunder basketball. Here's the other thing too. If you listen on the app, if you listen on the Sports Animal app, there's going to be a little tag there that says streaming. You push on that, and you'll be able to see the 98.9 Kiss that you can stream on. So that's where we'll be after the game. It'll be the same phone number, 405-900-9957, our Lucky Star line. But we will be on 98.9 Kiss FM after the game. Al?
Big Mark, he's a movie star now.
Marcus Dupree.
That's one of my producers right there.
Now, tell us about what's going
He's
on.
out of Jersey City.
Oh, he's from Jersey City?
Yeah.
Well, that must mean he's psycho
They
like Al then.
They homeboys.
Homeboys,
Right?
yeah,
they
exactly.
homeboys.
We know some people. Yeah,
You know people. Yeah, I've heard that before. We know people.
People. That's
Tell
it.
us what's going on. You got a movie. What's up?
Well, I did 8 movies in the last 2 years. So
Yeah.
we just had a premiere last month, Mysterious Circumstances. Came out and we filmed it in Mississippi. It's about Lewis and Clark. Just finished a sci-fi movie down in Biloxi, Mississippi. It's called Interfere 2, The Next Wave. Had a
Now,
premiere
did you have like aliens coming after you or something? What's going on
Matter
now?
of fact, the alien killed me.
Really?
Yeah, pulled my heart out of my chest.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Weirdest thing ever.
Sounds like a tearjerker, man.
Yeah. Sounds like really good.
And then I just finished one with John Snyder called To Die For, a True Story. But we'll be filming another movie here next month with John Snyder in Oklahoma City.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. You
And then-
like doing that stuff?
But my guy PJ is putting together something in Tulsa. We're gonna be filming in a couple of months, I guess. So him and Al are best buds. They're from the same neighborhood.
Mob related.
Up there in Jersey. Jersey. How you say it, Jersey?
Yeah, he talks right. Both of them talk the same. Crazy.
I know. I was telling PJ that when I first came to Oklahoma, he interviewed me. I'm like,
what is that?
This dude here's not from Oklahoma. I know.
And that's the first person from Mississippi I ever met in my life.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there are a lot of people in Mississippi. I'm from Maryland. We talk normal in Maryland.
Yeah.
We don't talk like these New Jersey guys. They're just crazy. Hey, being a running back, Gray this year. Last year I was basically saying he can't run between the tackles. He catches the ball great, but he's kind of a third down back. He obviously worked hard in the offseason, got bigger and stronger. What are your thoughts on him?
I like him. I like his game. I think we just got to beef up our offensive line a little more. He does all good things. Like you say, he catches the ball. Now he's running between the tackles. I haven't really seen him block, but everything he's doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in Jeff Lee's offense.
Yeah, you like that offense?
I like the offense. I do. I wish we could go back to the wishbone, but
Stop
but
it,
you
dude.
know what? I think it will work because they got all these hybrid linebackers
Right.
You know, when we played Army,
Sure. That was awesome, wasn't
yeah, it's a great game. I like.
we loved it because it lasted 2 hours and 20 minutes, and Al and I were on the air like that.
And think about it. Guys like Marcus ran the wishbone. Bo Jackson ran the wishbone at Auburn.
Exactly.
I know.
I mean,
No doubt. Now, let me ask you, I don't really, would you consider yourself good at catching the ball out of the backfield?
Yeah, I was.
he returned punts.
Well, I
man.
know that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying you caught the ball a decent amount out of the backfield.
It was
Not
him.
here, but when you
in
got
high school,
yeah,
in the pros,
in the pros, yeah.
I was a receiver first before I was a running back.
What's your thoughts about Brent Venables? What does he welcome the old players back? What?
I hadn't had a chance to talk to him, but before when he was here before, to me he was a great guy. I think he's a great coach. I think he has to get his players in. A lot of OU people are, I know some people are gonna get upset at me when I say we're a little bit spoiled, and we didn't.
Not a little bit, a lot spoiled,
a lot,
yeah, a lot
We need
spoiled.
some Pepto-Bismol, right?
Well, yeah, man. I mean, listen, Al and I were doing radio all the way back in the 90s, and these fans were like, what is this? And they got humbled a little bit.
Yeah.
Then they won the national championship, and then they thought they were supposed to win it every year, right? That's what happened, right, Al?
It's hard to win it back to back, but I know I like Coach Venables. I like his style, and he's been in the SEC, so he knows how to recruit down that way. And I think we're gonna be okay. People got to realize we lost 48 kids, then 4 quarterbacks starting on other college teams. So right now we're basically playing with backups that are not really ready to play yet. So,
So you go to the Switzer Mansion?
we had dinner last night, but I'm going to meet him over at Gate 13. Hopefully, he wasn't feeling good this morning, so hopefully he makes it in.
Well, hey, tell me about your movie. Now, you got a movie out right now, right? What's the name
Right
of it?
now, it's called Mysterious Circumstances. You can.
Who's a female star?
Where's the female star?
Yeah. John Snyder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then a guy named Sonny.
Sonny Marinelli, good solid Italian.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, get a good,
Another mob
good
guy.
solid mob. That's right.
So
Get the mob
It's on
involved.
demand right now called Mysterious Circumstances. It's about Lewis and Clark, 3 ways. It's 3 versions of how he died. And just so happened he was crossing over to Mississippi to Tennessee. That's where he got killed.
Yeah, that's right. I remember. I don't remember much, but I remember I learned that when I was young. So.
I know. Learned a lot of people got killed in Mississippi, unfortunately.
I almost did. I got a ticket down there. I thought I was done.
They thought you were
Dude,
my cousin Vinny, man.
Yeah, the dude had the mirror sunglasses on. He goes, "Where you from, boy?" I said, "I'm not from here. I apologize." He actually made me pay for the ticket right there. I had to give him cash.
I never told Marcus this story. Coming out of high school, 3 schools I applied to: OU, Kentucky, Mississippi. I had no idea what was going on in the 60s at Mississippi. I mean,
Oh my God!
they would have hated me more than they do black people.
You're probably right.
When I was there.
You start talking, they'd be like, "Who is this kid?"
I'll be dead now.
Oh my
Who's this
God.
Yankee?
That's right.
Exactly.
I hear
What's
you.
that Confederate flag doing over there?
Jeez. Well, listen, Marcus, we appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much,
for having me
okay?
anytime.
And good luck with the movies and stuff.
Thank you.
Marcus Dupree, ladies and gentlemen, great guy. Always love having him on. Countdown to kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, live from historic Campus Corner in Norman in the RV General Store, Sports Animal Movies Mobile Studios. It's all driven by Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. By the way, our man Ryan Broyles is over here with the beautiful Lexus signing autographs. When we get back, we will talk to Mr. Dean Blevins right here on the Leader in Sports, the Animal.
Sports Animal. Live from the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studio in historic Campus Corner, it's Countdown to Kickoff with Bud Light Game Time. Driven by Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City.
You guys are up?
And we're back. What's up, Al Eschbach, along with Jim Traber, OU Baylor at 2 o'clock today. Dean Blevins, let's go with Dean's instincts, inner-urban instincts, Dean.
My instincts are inner-urban. First of all, come on now. We were spending some time earlier with my old pals from Norman, who veterans. The guys are back in town, so good to see them. And we lettered. We got our varsity letter over at the inner-urban very quickly back in the old days. So check out the inner-urbans, absolutely fantastic. And instincts for the day are just a wonderful, wonderful day for football. And I got to say that every game you play is the most important at that time. I realize that. But I really have circled this game right now as a really, really, really important game for Oklahoma, because if you can come back and make it 3 straight, you'll know that you were improving quite a bit, and it kind of becomes a story nationally, and you put yourself in position to finish the season strong, recruiting strong, etc. If you were to lose it, we know it goes just the opposite direction. So big game. Oklahoma's going to have to play really well and win the turnover special teams to come out on top.
Let me ask both of you guys, if they beat Baylor, is it the best win of the year?
Well, yeah.
Between them and Kansas, right? Would that be right?
Yeah.
Al?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It would be. Well, you know what? It seems like all the same. Everybody's like the same.
No, you're right.
Iowa State on the road.
You are correct.
But and Dean, I agree with you. And Jim said,
Al, this team's better.
Yeah,
Al,
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, okay.
I think what you said, Jim did harping on the word that being momentum.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, you've got it right now. But what you didn't have, say, going back to the Cotton Bowl, Al, is you've got to have that in big. You got to have it all the time. You got to have it in life, but you got to have it in big games. Down in Dallas, for example, Al, since there was no offense and you weren't going to get anything, there was no momentum because the defense is out there going, "What in the world? Why are we here?" So they got some momentum as a team going forward right now. They're seeing improvement. They need to see the results today of a win to get them to finish really strong.
Yeah, the defensive performance was horrible down in the Cotton Bowl, but I got to tell you something. There's not a defense in the country that feel real good about themselves when they're watching that offense, Al. I mean, you're thinking, my gosh, what do we got to do with what OU was doing offensively that day? But, hey, they look like they've gotten better. We're going to find out today because Baylor can run the football. They can run the football.
And, no, they will.
They will.
We talked a little bit during the week. It's going to be a line of scrimmage game, and going in, Baylor has the advantage with that. But Oklahoma's offensive line has a chance to be an imposing force here. And even though Baylor is not quite as good as they were last year defensively, obviously they're very, very sound, and they got some guys that play in the NFL. OU's offensive line needs to do its thing, right?
What about OSU Kansas, Dean?
I mean, heck, I don't know, Jim. Did the line move because they thought the Kansas quarterback was going to play, which I understand he's not starting now, or did it move because of Spencer Sanders' situation? To me, it's simple. If they don't have Sanders, they lose. If they have him, they win.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Real quick before we get your things on here, I know you got to get going, but the big one, Tennessee and Georgia. Who you like down there? By the way, isn't it eerie how this season for Tennessee is very similar to 2000 when Josh Heupel was the quarterback here? That's crazy.
Oh, it is so similar. I don't know how they've been with injuries. If you remember in 2000, you didn't get anybody hurt.
Right.
So I don't know how it's been from that standpoint. But from all other standpoints, it's identical. It's almost like I don't know if Heupel. I'm sure he mentioned it to his guys. It's one of those things that was so real, though, that it's probably motivation for his guys.
Yeah.
Who
you like, Georgia or Tennessee?
I'm going to go chalk. I'm going to go Georgia. I'll have to see. I think that the weakest player out there, if Georgia doesn't win, I think it will be because their quarterback isn't at the level that Georgia will be at real soon at quarterback, because they're elite everywhere else. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, and that Georgia wins. I say high-scoring. Georgia's defense is pretty darn good, but it's a great matchup, isn't it, those two?
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like, Al, go back to Rich Glover and those guys rolling into town against Jack. It was that great offense against a pretty darn good defense.
Absolutely. Again, what about Kansas State, Texas?
Kansas State, Texas. I understand that they haven't decided who's starting. I hope that Martinez doesn't screw it up for them. I'm going to go K-State. I just think they're a better team and program.
Okay, and then finally here, who you like?
I think it's a toss-up. I think Oklahoma's going to have to win those two parts of the game, but they can do that. So I'll take Oklahoma by a smidge.
All right, thank you, Dino. Appreciate it.
See you, Dean.
All right, guys. Sorry I had to run.
Okay, Dean. We appreciate you, Dean. Thank you very much. By the way, Curtis Fitzpatrick texted me. The word out of Kansas State, listen to this, Al, is that they really would like for Martinez to play because they want a redshirt Howard. He's only played 2 games. And that's an interesting thing because, you know, Martinez is done after this year, and Howard's playing so well. If you can win with Martinez and keep Howard for next year, that'd be a really good thing, wouldn't it, Al?
It would be a good thing, but what if you're in a great position? Next year, you may not play in this position.
Well, that's a good point. They got people coming back, though. They're kind of young. I mean, look, they're going to play the dude who can win, but he's got 2 more games Howard can play. But if they want,
that's a great point. Yeah, that's it. That's a really. But you know what? What if you play him and then you're not going to play him in the down in Arlington?
I mean, listen now, it's a tough situation. I mean, you got to go for this year and next year. So I don't know.
I guess maybe you start Martinez, and if he can't get the job done, get him out of there.
I think that's probably the right thing, Al. I agree with you. Well, you know what's getting ready to happen? We're going to be going to the great dudes from OSU, because OSU pregame is going to join us when we get back. Of course, they play at 2:30, so we'll bring in Gideon and Rashawn Woods. This is Countdown to Kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, live from Historic Campus Corner in Norman. We're in the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studio, all driven by Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. There are beautiful Lexuses right next to us over here if you want to go take a look at them. And Ryan Broyles signing autographs over there. So we got a big day in Norman, beautiful weather, going to be a great game. Cannot wait. When we get back, Gideon Hamilton, Rashawn Woods, we'll find out a little bit what's happening with the OSU game right here on the Leader in Sports, the end.
So Al Eschbach, Drew Traber here on Historic Campus Corner in Norman, Oklahoma, going against Baylor, a 2 o'clock game. Let's go to Stillwater now.
No. Grady's Pub.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, Stillwater in Yukon. Let's go to Yukon. That's we're going up to Yukon. Rashawn Woods, Gideon Hamilton, Oklahoma State going against underdog against Kansas today, and that line, guys, has shifted all week long.
Yeah, started as Oklahoma State being a favorite, and then, of course, that gradually went down as more and more information leaked out of Stillwater. And I think up to the minute here, it's probably expected that Spencer's not going to be in the game. We're going to wait for official word on that. But, Rashawn, that's obviously huge, and it's coming off a game. This is not the only injury for Oklahoma State. Maybe if Spencer played, it wouldn't change the result. It might just change the number. But this is a team that's ravaged by injury right now, and they're still going to try to put their best foot forward and go out there and win.
They need to, and the reality of it is if he hasn't been practicing and Gunner's been taking all the snaps, then that's probably the way to go. I mean, if he's to the point where he can't practice, he can't put his best foot forward, the team chemistry, the priority of that needs to go with probably with Gunner. And so he's very capable of getting the job done. I know there's injuries in other areas, but when you got a guy making his first career start, you got an offense that obviously struggled last week, even with Spencer Sanders.
Yep.
There definitely needs to be some shakeup in everything that they have doing, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now, get to the defensive side. I think from a personnel standpoint, Oklahoma State's got the guys that have a really good defense. It's just more about the approach to me.
Yeah.
Definitely need to be aggressive. If they're going to sit back and just let Kansas do whatever and just hope that they can stay on the base defense and win today, unfortunately, we have a rude and a tough day ahead of us. So it's if that's the case, then it's not going to be very good. Got to get that defensive line in one-on-one situations where they can get pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
You do that by at least bringing 5 and as many times as you can. Too conservative last week against the Kansas State team that really they're all about running the football, and they were able to throw the ball down the field and make the plays on big chunk plays. And really, the quarterback was never pressured at any point, which blows my mind with Colin Oliver, Trace Ford, and company, and those guys being really, really good in bringing pressure throughout the last couple of years. Even without Trace Ford, they were pretty good the years before. And to see them not even get close to sniffing the quarterback is it's really a shame.
So, just since we came on the air a couple of minutes ago, Dave Hunsiker does the official injury report on their radio broadcast. Has also indicated that Spencer Sanders is not going to play today. Brett McMurphy tweeted out literally like 30 seconds ago that Garrett Rangel might get some consideration to play today, along with Gunnar Gundy, and you might even see Rangel there at the start of the game. That's courtesy of Brett McMurphy from the Action Network. So there are a lot of things that are up in the air. This is a Kansas defense that has been susceptible, though, and you just try to figure out, man, you wish you had Dominic Richardson in there. You wish you had some of these other starters, some of those deep threats, Rashawn, that could test them vertically, and it's just not going to work out that way. By the way, Jalen Daniels, their starting quarterback at the beginning of the year, is said to be healthy enough to where they might actually put him out there. He's not going to start, though. Jason Bean is going to be out there at the beginning of the game, but we might see Jalen Daniels return from an injury that he suffered prior to the season. Here's the official injury report here. Dominic Richardson is going to try to play today. So hopefully he's up to full speed. Like I said, you'd like to see him out there. But Spencer Sanders is out. Jaden Bray is out. Blaine Green remains out. Braden Johnson, that's a tough one, as he remains sidelined. Thomas Harper is also remains out for this game. Hunter Woodard, who missed a week ago, he is going to be sidelined today. And then Tom Hutton, we saw him suffer an injury against Kansas State late in the game. His OSU career, as he indicated earlier this week, is over. So there's something going on at all levels for Oklahoma State. That's something that they've had to deal with the last couple of weeks, and it's time for guys to step up and try to make a name for
Let me ask
themselves.
Rashawn. Can I ask Rashawn a quick question,
Go ahead.
Gideon? I was going to ask you, Rashawn, as a wide receiver and then as a coach, your quarterback is, frankly, the best player on the team. He's not going to play. Whoever plays has never started a game. Give me your mindset as a wide receiver, and then give me your mindset as a coach.
As a wide receiver, if you're a guy that kind of understands the offense, is a veteran guy, you got to do everything you can as a receiver to help the quarterback, be comfortable. Reassure him, man, if you got his back. If he has any problems or he gets down, just make sure that you're there for him. Because everything's not going to be rosy. You want it to be as positive as possible as far as, if he's making plays, he makes even a small throw, a quick throw, right? That does a lot for his confidence. You want to be there to kind of make sure that he knows that you're there for him. And so from a coaching standpoint, play calling with a new guy, with this particular guy, it all depends on how much confidence he has in him. If he's had a really good week and he's known for really making his reads, he's a student of the game, you're going to feel comfortable calling plays for him, right? If he's not that guy, you're going to go into a shell a little bit as a play caller. Or at least I would, because I'm trying to protect him or not put him in situations where he can make a bad play worse. And so the more veteran guy, I'm a little bit more open in play calling. A guy like Gunnar Gundy really understands, from what I've seen, understands where he needs to go with the football, but at the same time, you need to make sure that he's not in situations where he's holding the ball too long. You don't want him to get hit back there, okay? And you just, all in all, want him to start off good in the beginning. You expect some quick passes out to the flat, just a blood route here, a quick play there, just so he can complete a couple of passes, because if you get his confidence going, that usually is a good sign offensively, and things can really roll in the right direction. If he comes out the first two drives and it's horrific, okay, get the next guy ready, because it could get bad, right? When you're the first year, and because confidence is so much, man. I can remember, catching my first ball in the game, and if I call it a difficult pass or even really just the easiest one, especially early on, I had a great day. If I dropped that first one or a guy broke up a pass on me, early in my career, man, it was rough. It was rough just from a mental standpoint, because I started to doubt my abilities as I was younger. Now, when I got older, it didn't matter. I could drop the first 2 or 3, and I was completely confident in my abilities and and how hard I worked and so on and so forth. And so, not to say that's how Gundy's going to be or so on and so forth. I could just tell you the thought process of guys. And everybody's different. Good. He could be as poised as his dad, for crying out loud. Who knows? But we're going to find out today.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's good stuff, Gideon. I told Al, Gideon, during the week, I don't think in all my career of doing radio I've ever heard so many different things from so many different people. And I'm not talking about yardbirds on the internet, Gideon. I'm talking about people that kind of give me different things. And the one thing that OSU fans have got to hope is that one of the things I heard is that Sanders is done for the year. And
I heard that, Jim. I heard that a lot more the day of, and that's because when guys get hurt initially, there's always more fear.
Sure, and more pain.
The unknown,
more
and
pain.
Of course,
yeah.
And then as you go through the week, and this guy is apparently, from people that play with him, he's a warrior. I mean, we know he's a vocal leader on that team, but he's showed with his ability to go through some legitimate injuries this year, and I want to be out there with his guys that he's a tough kid. So we'll see if he can come back out on the field at some point.
Brett, when you're ready.
Said is that just this nagging injury that's been going on the last 4 weeks, that made it seem like there was a little bit more hope there. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but maybe as we move forward through the season, he feels good enough to where he's going to want to go out there, because I honestly don't think he is the kind of guy that shuts down.
Yeah, no, he doesn't want to. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Gideon, tell everybody about where you're at today and what's happening out there.
Yeah, Grady's Pub is absolutely awesome. We're here on Route 66, just on Main Street, Yukon. Place is perfect to come out here and watch the game. They got enough TVs where they'll have it on OU and OSU, since the games are on the same time. Huge pull-down projection TV, lots of space for you. I got billiards, got free food out here a little bit later on. So I love being out here with Brady's and Anheuser-Busch.
Very nice. Countdown to kickoff, Bud Light Game Time. We're live from historic Campus Corner in Norman, the General Store, RV General Store, Sports Animal Mobile Studios, driven by Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. Got a bunch of beautiful Lexuses over here, so you want to come see them. And, of course, Ryan Broyles is signing autographs over there. When we get back, we'll talk to another All-American from OSU, Mr. Sam Mays, talk about both games and what's happening around the country. I got to tell you, Grady's probably be a great place to play, to be when you got OU, OSU, and the big-time Tennessee Georgia game. So go out and see those guys out there. You'll be there after the game too, Gideon?
I will be in studio because of the Thunder, but Rashawn will be out here.
Oh, that's right. The Thunder. That's right. And I want to remind people, our post-game shows are going to be on 98.9 KISS FM. Our phone number will be the same, 405-900-9957. But we'll be doing our post-game show on 98.9 KISS FM, our sister station. Gideon will be doing pre-game and post-game for the Thunder at the Bucks. That's a little bit of a tough one, the Bucks.
How about Milwaukee?
Okay, that's a big old limb. We'll be back. It's a leader in sports, the Animal.
Mr. Sparky offers same-day electrical service.
Hey, guys, we're on.
Hey, we're back. So Al Eschbach and Jim Traber, right here on historic campus, going to Oklahoma Baylor, 2:00 game. Rashawn Woods, Gideon Hamilton, Brady up in Yukon. Sam Mays joining us right now, and Spark. Let's the OU game, Jim. Who got a spark?
Well, I mean, I think I would just say the defense. The defense played a little better last week, but was it Iowa State or was it them? So the defense needs to spark this game. I don't think there's any doubt. Gideon, what do you think is a spark in the OSU game? A doctor that can make these dudes better?
Rashawn, it's going to be whatever receiver, these new quarterbacks develop a relationship and a comfort with somebody early. So if that's one of the slot guys like Presley, Richardson, whoever that is, I think whoever that is provides a spark. What about you?
Yeah, that's a good one. Defensively, they didn't have been playing very well. I think Mason. I mean, I think Coach Mason needs to provide a spark for this defense. Really, be more aggressive.
Maybe Colin. Maybe
last couple of weeks. Maybe he just sits back and is afraid to get pin the ears back and to get after this quarterback today, whoever's playing. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State has got to make plays on defense.
Maybe
pretty good on third down.
Guys,
I get that, and it's all good, but
Rashawn,
Oklahoma State going so fast, or wanting to go fast, and that's another thing too, right?
Sure.
We'll get to that later on, but Oklahoma State wanting to go fast, Oklahoma State's got to get Kansas off the field, man.
I think
if they could do that. They got a chance, right? Defense could literally carry this Oklahoma State team. We talk so much about the uncertainties on offense. This defense comes out to play. That'll be more than enough spark for them to get the win. And that happens.
Colin Oliver needs to play more than like 30 plays. I think that would be a pretty good move. Sam Mays is with us. Sam, two pretty big games. I think whoever loses I think Kansas is out of it, but if OSU loses, they're done, and the loser of this game is done down here. So this is a big weekend, Sam.
Yeah, no, it's huge, and Tulsa's got Tulane there in Tulsa. So it wasn't Friday. I'm doing the show, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm just not feeling great about the state of Oklahoma this weekend. All winnable games, no question about it. But for Oklahoma, they take the field against a team that's got a couple of top 25 ranked units in their offense and their defense. From Baylor, it hasn't been the season that they wanted to have this season, but they're pretty good. And then for Oklahoma State, Kansas is one of the coolest stories of this season's college football team. It looks like they might get their quarterback back. That's what I'm hearing, and that would be huge for them. And for me, and as far as the Cowboys are concerned, it comes down to if Sanders plays and he's 90%, then he can extend drives and keep the Oklahoma State defense off the field.
He's not playing. He's not playing. He's done. He's out.
Oh, he's out. They're saying he's official. Okay,
he's officially out. And I heard during the week that I didn't even say in the air because I wasn't confident about it. But he didn't play. He didn't practice one snap this week, is what I understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is a tough game for Gundy. I think that kid's got a good skill set. I think he's going to be a good football player one day, and if they can protect him today, I think he has an opportunity to score some points. But it would be hard to pick anybody but the Jayhawks here, especially if they get their guy back and they're at 100%. As far as OU is concerned, that defense is kind of what it is. I think that Iowa State, Jim, I listened to you last week. Iowa State's offense, I don't know about you, is one of the most
terrible
inept units I've seen in college football in probably a decade.
Yeah,
they're terrible. I don't know if the confidence boost that the defense got is enough for them to handle this Baylor defense or offense that is pretty good at times. So I think it's going to be a tough one in Norman. So I picked Baylor to win this one. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, probably 45-38, somewhere in there. And for the Cowboys with Gundy playing, I think it's probably more like 38-28 Kansas. But I'm still staying with this. Both games are winnable. If those teams show up and play great and they can protect the quarterback on both sides, they could have some success.
Well, you look at, we talk, guys, about, I think on both teams, you got to be able to run the ball on Baylor. Texas Tech ran for 164 yards. Baylor defense is not very good. You got to run the ball. And Oklahoma State, when Sanders in, and it hurts Oklahoma State's running game with Sanders not playing.
Immensely.
Yep.
Sam?
Yeah, no, that's a huge deal. It's funny to me that we talk about both the OU and OSU defense. And gentlemen, we watched both these teams in the last 10 years win a whole bunch of football games without a ton of defensive support. But this year, in particular, they need those units to show up and play well, and it's just been sporadic throughout the season for the Cowboys and for the OU defense. After conference play or non-conference play, it was pretty much a complete disaster this season, shy of that Iowa State game we watched last week. So, it's a tough year. This league has been tough. It'll beat you up. It's physical, bunch of good offensive line play all over the country. It's just it's a test. There's no doubt. But if Venables can get to 7 wins, get to 8 wins as far as from where he got started, I think it kind of starts today. If we can find a way to upset this Baylor team, it'd be huge for Oklahoma.
Well, they're OU's favorite, so it wouldn't be an upset.
No, you're right.
It's as far as which team is better on this deal. If you put this game in Waco or a neutral site, Baylor's the better team here. I don't know anybody can argue that. Like Vegas says that OU is the favorite for sure. I get that, but Baylor is the better football team.
Well, 3.5. When you're favored by 3.5, that means that means the teams are very similar. It'd be about even. We're going to find out today.
Both teams are disappointments. Baylor lost to a bad BYU team. They got beat by West Virginia. OU has been a disappointment, but so is Baylor.
No, you're right. These are the top 2 teams in the league. Gideon, I told Al earlier this week, if OSU goes up there and wins with all their injuries and with a redshirt freshman who hadn't played at all, basically, and they go up there and win, this will be one of the best wins that Gundy's ever had. And I know I'm not talking about like status of the win, like when they beat Notre Dame or when they beat OU. I'm talking about the win in this situation, Gideon, on the road with a team. Remember something now. If Kansas loses this game, they're in trouble to even go to a bowl game because they got a tough rest of the schedule. So, Gideon, this would be an incredible win.
No, Jim, you find out a lot about your team after a loss like last week, too. If they've got enough to persevere. The rest of the season, the way the schedule's set up for Oklahoma State actually works out pretty well because they do have West Virginia and Iowa State. These teams that we perceive are going to be a little bit easier down the stretch, but it just comes to the worst possible time with all these guys out.
Yep. I tell you what, Sam, in this league, though, you better ready to play. My TNW Tire Lock of the Week was Texas Tech getting these points from TCU. It's a 13-10 game right now, and Tech is driving again. So you got to be ready to play every week in this league, don't you, Sam?
Oh, no question. And the thing that you have to love about it is the competition that's on the sidelines, right? There's a ton of great coaching in this league. Even when you talk about, first-year coach there at TCU having all the success he's had this season, Dave Aranda, who he is, Venables, that defensive mindset. Like this, Gundy is, the elder statesman. Leopold doing fantastic. This league is all in. And, I'm excited to kind of see them get back to this level of play. I don't think any team in this league is great. But as far as where they were in 2011 or 2010, come on, guys. This is kind of a full circle moment for us. They're headed in the right direction for sure.
And let me ask you, Rashawn, as a coach, they got beat 48-0 last week. How do you get this team back? What do you say to them during the week, Rashawn?
I heard him talk about some things that they changed for the week of practice, maybe because of the injuries and so on and so forth. I think it's more about what you say to the coaches, right? The main thing is just to make sure that those guys are keeping their room, the receiver room, the offensive line room, and so on and so forth. Do what you can from a encouraging standpoint for those guys to let them know, like, hey, we don't want to be this team. What we did last week was not good enough, and it needs to get better. And just challenge the coaches to get everybody in those rooms back on the horse, so to speak, right? There's no need to try to make an excuse for it and so on and so forth. It is what it is. Don't hide from it. Flat out say what needs to be said to the coaches, and then the coaches relate that to the guys. You can stand up in front of the guys and say that and so on and so forth, but the assistant coaches are really the ones who have a real relationship with those guys, and they've got to galvanize what they believe in. And what they believe in is that they're still a Big 12 title contender. And so in order to get that, you have to make sure that you're going 1 week at a time, and that as bad as that loss is, it's only one loss. So if you can get back going, right, you can have a chance down the road if you can get this thing back going to have a success. And then as you get guys back, hopefully you'll become formidable. These guys is really more about confidence. And seems like I'm talking about a lot about confidence today. Okay, and again, because Oklahoma State as a team hasn't been in this situation where they've got just absolutely destroyed. Okay, the quarterback is in a new situation where he's got to find a way to make sure that he has a good game. Coach Gundy hasn't been in this situation ever, right? The offensive coordinator, Coach Dunn, has to coordinate an offense with a guy who's starting his very first game, right? And you got a first-year defensive coordinator that's got to figure out, okay, the identity of this defense. Okay, and so from that standpoint, the coaches really have a lot more to figure out with their guys, with their team. And that's where Coach Gundy and the assistant coaches should be focusing on their relationship with their guys in their room and what they are and what they want to get out of this season as a team.
Mm-hmm. Sam, rate the offensive line play at both OU and OSU this year.
Man, I think the boys down there in Norman have gotten better each and every week. And I think it's a testament to Bill Beatonbow, who we knew who he was coming into the season.
Break when you're ready.
And also, as things start to stabilize the quarterback position and he's able to call more plays and Gabriel's more accurate, you really start to see the kind of versatility that he brings to the table offensively. That group up front at Norman is probably one of your top 4 groups you're going to find in this conference, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of good offensive line play in the Big 12. And Stillwater, man, Gundy has been a magician over the years, finding a way to succeed without great offensive line play. And there were some moments earlier this season where they flashed a little bit, but I think injuries and Wilson in particular. Wilson's out of the mix. He's a Remington Award guy. He's the real deal at the center. When he's in, things look great. When he's not in, things don't look so great. The health situation on the offensive line in Stillwater is really kind of hampered them. So, I mean, for OU, give me a B+, A- somewhere in there, and for OSU, it's probably a D+, C-, and that's with Gundy, being the that he is with offensive line play. They've really struggled to establish themselves this season. If they could find a way to do that in the second half and back into this year, then they're a significantly better football team. That's just tough to do, on the offensive line. It's hard to get better in the season. You just got to stay healthy through it, and that's going to show up for them.
Hey, Gideon, you didn't mention Wilson on that injury list. Is he? I guess he's going to play.
Yeah, I mean, he was actually. We were surprised to see him like in their stretching line a week ago, and so I think he's going to be out there.
All right, hey Sam, real quick, if you would, couple games around the country. What do you like? What do you think about the Tennessee Georgia game?
Man, as good as Heupel has been this year in Tennessee, I feel like what they do offensively is kind of where Georgia's like, oh, we want to see a team like this. We want a team that wants to get vertical and run down the field and be athletic at the receiver positions. I know Georgia's got some pups there in that secondary defensively, but those dudes can play, and they're deep on that team. They're deep on that offense and deep on their defense. I think Georgia at home is going to probably put Tennessee in their place. Not that Tennessee's not a great football team, because they are, but Georgia's been there, done that, got the t-shirt literally. I think Tennessee's going to kind of get bitten here a little bit by the team that's just a little more experienced when it comes to playing games like this.
What about Alabama, LSU?
Man, I like LSU. What was the line, Jim? 13?
Yeah, 13 and a half. Oh, it's 10 and a half now. Okay, it's gone down.
But no, 13 and a half.
Oh, 13 and a half. That's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I like LSU at night. They're in Death Valley against Alabama, who, Alabama's obviously one of the top teams in the country, but they don't look just unbeatable like they normally do at this point. They haven't really figured out what the best version of that football team is quite yet, and I think that LSU was just kind of sparked at the right time. I think Alabama probably wins it, but I think it's going to be a great game, probably the best game that we have to win.
Biggest game in the Big 12, Texas against Kansas State.
Anybody know why people love Texas so much in this one?
I don't know. I mean, Fat Jack said that there's some matchups in this game that favor Texas, and I think one of them is that if Ewers can get the ball down, I mean, OSU, he was just terrible. But if he gets the ball down, they think with his receivers they might be able to get some people open. But I think it's crazy that Texas is favored.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas State, even over at TCU, Kansas State is probably the most comfortable team in the league, comfortable in their own skin. They understand exactly how to win, and they have the capability and the personnel on that team to do it each and every week. That loss to Tulane that you saw, early in the season. Tulane's a good football team with a good line of scrimmage, nothing to hang your head on. I mean, Kansas State they're really, really good. They're really talented and well coached. And I just have a hard time believing that Texas is going to be able to penetrate that tortoise shell, right? I mean, they just stay on the field so long. Your offense is always on the sidelines, and if they're going to get 8-10 plays with no score, that's a win for Kansas State. If they get 8 or 10 plays on a drive and they score a touchdown, I mean, they're eating up 6-7 minutes of clock. It's hard to win in Manhattan, and with the crowd being as crazy as they are, you saw what it was in Stillwater. I like Kansas State here, and I like them to win comfortably. I mean, I think they're one of the best teams in the league.
Okay, how about OSU and Kansas?
It's going to be tough for Gunner, and with the offensive line not performing at the highest level, Kansas' defense is not, vaunted by any means. Those guys are terrifying, but they'll get after him a little bit and make him uncomfortable. The Kansas crowd probably more engaged. They've been in it since 2009, and so it'll be loud enough. And I think it'll just be a lot for him to come in and win in the position that he's in. So give me the Jayhawks to find a way to get this one done at home.
Then finally here in Norman.
Yeah, I think this take the over. If you're betting on this one, take the over, no question. I think Baylor's going to score a bunch of points. I think Oklahoma will also score a bunch of points in this one. I'm thinking 45, 38, somewhere in there. I think it's a barn burner. Levy has got that offense moving well. That offensive line is playing well. Obviously, Siaki, Ken Jackson playing in the middle, going to make it difficult to run the ball. Also hearing some injury conversations in the running back room there for OU, so that'll make it more difficult. But betting man says for me, I've taken the Bears. I think they're just a better team here, and we'll execute better down the stretch in Oklahoma.
All right, Sam, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, have a good one.
That's Sam Mays. So you can hear him with Mark Rogers a couple days a week. Gideon, tell everybody what's going on where you are.
Yeah, having a great time here at Grady's Pub in Yukon. Jim, this would be the perfect place to come out here. It's a jam-packed day of college football, so you want to make sure wherever you're sitting, you've got a viewpoint on every game, whether it's OU, OSU, or, of course, the Tennessee-Georgia game all going on this afternoon. Got a big pull-down projection screen. Always playing some great music out here. Got cool, great drinks, too, with Anheuser-Busch here at Grady's in Yukon, right off of Route 66. In downtown.
Thank you. This is Countdown to Kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, brought to you by the powerful and capable Lexus GX, now with a 10.3-inch screen, touchscreen. Expand your comfort zone. Experience amazing at Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. We're in our RV General Store mobile studios. When we get back, we'll talk to Mr. Craig Humphreys. Remember now, we're the only station in the entire state that does pre- and post-game for both OU and OSU, and you got us, we're double-barreled right now, so we're getting after it. Also, don't forget our post-game shows are going to be on 98.9 KISS FM. So remember, same phone number, 405-900-995-7, but we will be post-game. And if you're streaming, you can go to the app, and if you push on there, you'll see a place where it says streaming. You push on there, and you will see that you can go to 98.9 and listen to our post-game show. Should be exciting. Stay with us. This is the home of the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Animal.
3.
An accounting firm. IRS problems.
OU's down to 3. There's another one. Georgia's gone up to 9.5.
Live from the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studio in historic Campus Corner. It's countdown to kickoff with Bud Light Game Time.
Craig's ready. Need to pick the weapons of the game here.
Scrids Alexis of Oklahoma City.
They're up.
Hey, we're back. What's up, Al Eschbach, Jim Traber here on Campus Corner in Norman. OU going against Baylor. Rashawn Woods getting hammered up at Grady's Pub in Yukon. Joining us, Craig Humphreys. Give us the weapons of the game, Mr. Humphreys.
I would have to say that would be Richard Reese for Baylor the last couple of weeks. I mean, he went for 186 yards and a couple of touchdowns in their win over Kansas. He went for 148, 3 touchdowns as they beat Texas Tech 45-17. So I would start with Richard Reese as the weapon that OU needs to stop today.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of weapons probably. What about Gideon? What do you got weapons of the game up there in Lawrence today?
Yeah. Again, I think whoever it is, Rangel or Gundy, maybe we see both today. I think it's going to be whoever they pinpoint first that is dependable for them. I think you continue to see that receiver throughout the game, and I think it's probably one of those easier targets like J.P. Richardson or Brennan Presley. Who do you think could be a weapon today?
Yeah, Richardson was pretty quiet last week. I mean, everybody was on offense.
Sure, yeah.
but he's typically a guy that's making some plays here and there, but I don't even know if they even targeted the guy. I mean, they targeted him a couple times, but he seemed kind of out of it. He's usually a guy who's pretty consistent making plays and really big plays here as of late, but nothing on that end. Brennan Presley is kind of what he is. They get the ball out in the flat to him. He has a chance to make some plays here and there. Had an opportunity to make a play, and I think he fumbled it going down into the red zone last week, which kind of stopped that drive. And so it's going to be very difficult for him. Oklahoma State still got to figure out how to run the football. If they had a better run game, I don't think anybody would feel as bad about this particular game, or last week it wouldn't be as bad. And it's more about the offensive line success than it is about whether or not you got all your backs, because all those guys appear to be capable, whoever's back there. But it's kind of been a deal where Oklahoma State is uncharacteristically not very good in the run game. And it varies from year to year. Last year, we thought it was going to be more of the same, bad on the run game. And then all of a sudden, they blow up with Jalen Warren. This year, you're hoping that maybe something happens, because even with Jalen Warren, he wasn't the starter last year. And then he got into the game, and they were like, well, maybe this is the guy. I'm hoping that they got somebody in the stable there that ends up being like this, because Dominic Richardson, even though he's hurt, it's not like he's setting the world on fire by any stretch here. So there's got to be some.
Craig, I think, talking about what they're going to get Marvin Mims going here. We said, earlier that he's been the best offensive player. Right now, Eric Gray is OU's best offensive player. They got to get Marvin Mims going.
Craig?
Yeah, and he needs to stop dropping some passes, too. I mean, he's had some opportunities
exactly.
where he's dropped some balls, too, Al. So, yeah, it goes both ways there, yeah.
Hey, by the way, Ollie Gordon, I think it might be that guy. But let's talk. You guys are going to be able to take it here in a few minutes by yourselves. So let's get back to the game a little bit down here, Craig. Obviously, OU played a lot better defensively last week. We don't know if it's because Iowa State's terrible. I think they are, but maybe OU's finding some things. What are your thoughts on the defense of OU, Craig?
Yeah, you can't tell a whole lot from Iowa State, but I do agree with you, Trabe. I think it's getting better. You would have to give Baylor the edge here defensively. But, guys, I look at this Baylor team, and, the Tech game was by far their best game of the year, but they forced 5 turnovers. Tech threw 5 interceptions. Now, give Baylor credit for that, but they won the turnover battle 5-1. When they lost to West Virginia, they lost the turnover battle 4-1. Baylor did. And they allowed West Virginia to go for 500 yards. So this is not the lockdown Baylor defense that we've seen in years past. But I don't think there's a lot to separate these teams. I think it might be decided by turnover. But what I'm saying is, Baylor, you go down that schedule, Trey, and they've been a pretty big disappointment this year.
No doubt.
And you can say the same thing for Oklahoma, but I'm just saying that BYU loss double overtime doesn't look any better now. They don't beat Iowa State by 7. I don't think that's a great deal. They lose to OSU and West Virginia. Yeah, they did beat Kansas. They jumped on them, but led Kansas back into that game, and all of a sudden it's 28-23 when they had them down 8-3. And then the Tech game was 5-1 in turnovers. So I don't know. I mean, I would maybe give Oklahoma a slight edge in this game, just being home field, but I think there's a lot of flaws in both teams.
Al said it earlier today. He was right on the money. This offense is better than we thought for Baylor, and the defense isn't as good as we thought. I mean, frankly, would you agree with that?
Totally. Yeah, totally agree. Like I said, gave up 500 yards to West Virginia.
Yeah.
So,
well, you got to get to shape it. You got to get to shape it. I mean, we've been talking about this last week. They only sacked Deckers once, but they were in his face. And as a former quarterback, if you're just standing back there, you can beat anybody. You can throw it on anybody. But if people in your face, it makes it a whole bunch harder. So they got to get to shaping. They can't just drop back in that zone.
Well, yeah, and I want to see Craig. Last week they played the 4-man front. The 3-man front we said against TCU in Texas was a disaster. They got no pressure on the quarterbacks there. At least you got to get pressure. So I think they'd go with the 4-man front mostly today.
Yeah, I would agree, and also because Baylor's running game, you're right, Trey. Chapin's had a couple of good games. Really, his 2 best games were against OSU and the shootout against West Virginia, where both teams went up and down the field. But really, they rely more like that on Richard Reese in that running game, and so that's the first thing you got to do against Baylor, stop the run.
Yeah, he can run it. I mean, he's a good look. He's about 5'9", about 180 pounds, but he's tough. I mean, he's a tough kid, too. So 30 carries last 2 games. You don't see that very often anymore in football, do you, Al? You don't see 30 carries for a running back.
Unless you're at Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's true. And they can't beat anybody, although they're beating the Terrapins today. Let's go around the country a little bit, Craig. I know You and I know you like Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame too.
No.
Oh, you like Clemson? I'm sorry.
I have Clemson as my lock of the week.
Oh, well, I'm going against you. I apologize. But that might be good for you. I've been terrible. It might be good for you.
Well, I've been terrible. I guarantee I've been worse than you on my locks. But the deal is, Clemson. How many people did I hear say that Wake Forest would beat them? And then they said NC State, the team everyone loved to win, the ACC before the season. NC State was going to take it down. Then it was Florida State. Florida State's having a great year. They're going to take it down. And last week it was Syracuse is going to. They just keep winning these games, Trabe.
Yep.
And so I know it's on the road. This is the one. I mean, you look at their schedule. If they get past this one, I think they will run the table because the other three are at home against Louisville, Miami, and South Carolina. But I'm not betting against Dabo and Clemson right now.
I hear you. How about the big one, Tennessee and Georgia?
Yeah, listen, I got a bet, on I won 5 pizzas on Tennessee, Alabama. So Tennessee has a soft spot in my heart. Georgia at home, normally you'd think, okay, you got to go with Georgia at home. But I can't get out of my mind. I watched that Georgia game against Missouri, and it was at Missouri. Granted, it wasn't between the hedges, but Missouri they had them down 10-0 and 16-3, and really Missouri led the whole game. Georgia finally scored with like 4 minutes to go to win the ball game against Missouri, 26-22, I think it was 26-22. But they were down 13-0, 16-3. Even down in the fourth quarter till 4 minutes to go. So
you're riding Tennessee.
I'm riding Tennessee. Probably the way to go. I mean, I would take, if I had to make a bet on the game, I would take the 8.5 points. Maybe I'm just begging for Tennessee to win this one. But that Tennessee offense is something special. I mean, almost 50 points a game, 34 or more in every game, 40 or more in their last 4 games. That's going to be hard to stop, even for Georgia.
Yeah, no, you're right. How about the big game in the Big 12, Kansas State and Texas?
Well, I got a bunch. I bet on Texas on the 5 games after OU Texas. Right now, it is 1-1, and I admit I was lucky to win. Iowa State Texas has not played quite as well as I forecast, and this is probably one that you would look at that. I think will be tougher than TCU at home. I think Texas beats TCU at home. I think they beat Kansas. This is probably the swing game in that bet. But I can't go against. I'm not psychologically equipped to bet against myself. So I'm going to take the Longhorns. I will say this on K-State, Trey. I listened that I went to a wedding that night, but the K-State game against TCU. K-State had them down by 18 points.
Yep.
Let TCU outscore them 28-0 in the second half of that game. And that's another thing that sticks in my mind regarding K-State.
By the way, for some reason, TCU just went for it on 4th and 4.
What a stupid move
in a
that
4-point game.
Yeah,
kick a field goal.
Yeah.
That's just
That is
unbelievable.
just
With an 18-step
really
drop.
stupid.
on the
Yeah,
play.
yeah. I mean, he's dropping way back, and with Duggan, what we're finding with Duggan right now is that the Texas Tech dudes are faster than him.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He's trying to outrun dudes that are faster
and
than
that
him.
put a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, this 17-13 Texas Tech with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. All right, Craig, what about up in Kansas? There's no Spencer Sanders. Rashawn was talking about how they're having a hard time running the ball. It should be even harder because Sanders is the best runner on their team. This is a massive uphill battle for Gundy, I would think.
Okay, last time that I was on with Gideon and Rashawn, Gideon goes down this injury list before the Texas game. Remember that, Gideon? I mean, half the team was injured, and that's the one game. When I made my 5-game pizza bet on Texas, the one game I thought they would lose was to OSU and Stillwater, and so Gideon swayed me and got me to pick Texas in that game, and of course I was wrong. And so everything looks in Kansas's favor here. Yeah, I would have to pick Kansas today, too. I said if Spencer Sanders plays, I'm not going against OSU, but obviously he's out, as we suspected, all week long, and it's Gunnar Gundy. Now, Pat tells me Gundy will
represent himself well, and he's got a good source on that. So we'll
Okay.
see. I just
I've got
haven't seen enough
and
to
I've got
represent him. I
sources
don't
that
know.
say he's not going to represent himself. So we'll see. Okay. And by the way, the head coach and the father of the guy is not my former player. So I'm just gonna. I love Pat Jones, but I'm just telling you, this is. We'll see. Listen, I hope the kid does well. But I've heard the other kid throws the ball really good. So we'll see. Okay, so you're picking Kansas, and then what about down here?
I'll take Kansas.
What about down here, Norman?
In Norman, shootout. I'm going to take Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma might surprise. Although, OU is favored in this game by points, right?
Yes, they are.
So,
they're favored by 3. By the way, Matt Meyer, tell everybody the lines are moving all over the place. Matt, what's going on?
Oklahoma's down to 3. Was 3.5. Kansas is now a 3-point favorite, and that's, I would think, would be a reaction to money coming in after the injury report comes out. And Georgia has gone up from 8.5 to 9.5 now.
Okay. Well, I don't know if it's smart.
I'll say that Oklahoma covers those 3 points. I'll take them 38-34.
All right, Craig. Thanks. Great job. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Trey. Thanks, Al.
Listen to Craig Humphreys every morning at 9 a.m. And our man Gideon Hamilton, boy, he's working a lot of double duty today. He's got Thunder basketball tonight.
As he should.
That's right. As he should. Gideon, what's happening at Grady's Pub?
Yeah, having a great time starting to fill up here. A little bit at Grady's Yukon. It's off Route 66 downtown here. Plenty of TVs where you're not going to miss any of the action today. Great in-house push specials here for like Game Time. This will be the perfect place to watch all college football action here today at Grady's Pub, guys.
Countdown to kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, live from historic Campus Corner in Norman. We're in the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studios. It's all driven by Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. When we get back, Al Eschbach and I will give you our final thoughts on the games, and then Gideon and Rashawn will take it up a little further as we get ready for OU at 2, OSU at 2:30, and of course the biggest game in the country at 2:30 as well, Tennessee and Georgia. This is the leader. By the way, don't forget, post-game shows are going to be on 98.9 KISS FM. So if you get out after these games, get on 98.9 KISS FM. And we'll be doing what we always do, taking phone calls and talking about the games. And then Gideon will be on the Sports Animal doing pregame for the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll be back. Leader in sports, the Animal.
Traber here in Norman. Historic games going to OU Baylor. 2 o'clock. Gideon Hamilton, Sean Woods up at Brady Pub in Yukon. Jim and I will tell him to air it out. Then we'll close. Then we'll let Gideon and Rashawn tell who they're going to air out in the Kansas game. Obviously, it's one of these games. I mean that I think both teams are going to have success throwing the ball. I mean,
right.
And I think they're going to have success running the ball too. So I'm going to say Dylan Gabriel will. I think they're going to throw. OU's going to throw the ball more than Baylor.
You would think so.
You would think so, right?
Yeah. One of the things I really want to look at is that Baylor's defensive line against OU's offensive line. Like Sam said, OU's offensive line has been getting better and better. And, the Ika kid, Ika, he's just an unbelievable stud, but he hasn't been the dominant factor that he was last year.
Ran for 164 yards.
I know, yeah. So OU should be able to do what they want offensively. I think the key is, can OU's defense
can they make them punt a few times? I mean,
yeah. I hear you. No, you're right. It's going to be interesting how many punts there are in this game. But yeah, I'm telling you, this is a big game. I mean, a big game because, like I said, these two teams, I thought we wouldn't think it at the beginning of the year, but they got to get bowl eligible.
Well, and also, if Baylor wins out, they're going to Arlington.
You're right. No, you're exactly right. If they went out, they're going to Arlington, and they got all the tough teams coming up. Baylor's schedule. If they don't win this game, like you said, they got TCU, Kansas State, and Texas.
Yeah.
So they got all the dudes that are playing really well. So yeah, Baylor obviously comes in needing to win, and OU's trying to get bowl eligible. So this is should be a fun game. 3-point line, and that's probably about right. I probably would have brought OU as a 3-point favorite in this game.
Yeah, because it's in Norman.
Yep, I agree.
And we'll see it. We'll see if OU's defense.
Got better, or was it Iowa State?
Was it Iowa State? That's exactly right.
And that'll be, the beginning of our post-game show. That's what we'll be talking about.
And you need to hold them, I'd say, the 28 points?
28, 30 points, I think you win the game probably because I think OU can get in the 30s. If this game gets in the high 30s, well, then I think, Baylor, if they scored 38 or 40, I think they probably win the game. So what's your final score?
I'm going Baylor 35-31.
Okay, I'm in the same neighborhood. I'll go 38-34 Baylor. But I'll tell you what, not a lot of people are picking OU.
And they're the favorite.
I know. It's crazy. Well, we're going to have to see what they can do. We're going to throw it to you, Gideon and Rashawn, and we will talk to you after the game, fellas. Great talking to you, okay?
All right, enjoy the game, guys.
Okay, see ya.
As far as who's going to air it out today for Oklahoma State, so in warm-ups right now, Garrett Rangel, who's the freshman, is under center with Preston Wilson, who's obviously your top guy. Gunnar Gundy has taken snaps from Joe Mikowski, who's your backup. And so gives a pretty good indication, Rashawn, of we might see both guys today, but I think they probably lean on Rangel. There is some interest there because he did play one game earlier this season, and if Spencer couldn't come back, you're obviously going to burn through his red shirt if he is the guy moving forward. So that's something to consider. So maybe that means they feel a little bit more confident that Spencer is going to be back at some point this year. But when you're dealing with somebody who's completely new, you talked about this a little bit earlier for those listeners that are just joining us right now as we talk a little bit more about Oklahoma State. It's incumbent, obviously, upon the guy to take advantage of the moment, but it's also incumbent upon the coaching staff putting them in position to succeed and everybody around the team help them out.
That's right. One thing you got to understand is his offense and the mindset of the offense going into the beginning of the year and what the plays they've been working on have really been built for Spencer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's the only one on the team of his kind. That's what I mean by that is he's a dual threat guy. So there's a lot of the offense that really doesn't fit Gunnar or Rangel. And so those guys are more drop back guys, and that can be a good thing if Casey is a lot more comfortable with a guy like that. It's hard to kind of be able to say whether that's the case or not until obviously you watch the game. But both guys can throw the football a little bit. I've heard very, very, very good things about Gunnar. Rangel, I haven't really heard anything. I know that he got some ability, he can throw the football. But yeah, the red shirt situation is an interesting one because there's a Rangel guy. He's got 4 games that he's able to burn. You don't want to use up his. I mean, you're exactly right. You don't want to use that up if you know Spencer's coming back. As far as Gunnar Gundy's concerned, I think he's already used his red shirt up, and so it's a situation where, I mean, he's full go.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting, man. I don't know why they would have Rangel or he'd even be in the conversation if they thought that they had supreme confidence in Gunnar. And if they didn't have confidence in him, then Rangel should have played earlier than now, in my opinion.
It's tough, man, because it's not like Jaden Bray and Braden Johnson are the only guy that can run, like an extra, like a deep route for these guys and stretch the field. Other guys are going to be running down the field, but it's that they're the only guys who are really proven that are probably on tape, running those kind of routes and making those kind of plays with the completion for Oklahoma State this year. And so if you have that in your resources as you're another team that's preparing for Oklahoma State, you're thinking, hey, especially with a new quarterback, we can kind of creep forward a little bit, use safety help. Don't have to necessarily use safety help on the edge. We can bring those guys up a little bit, make some plays closer to the line of scrimmage. Is that something that works against Oklahoma State when you consider not only you have a new quarterback, but also you have those injuries with those wideouts?
Yeah, I don't know if Kansas does anything out of the ordinary just because Oklahoma State's not running the ball very well anyway.
Yeah.
And so you don't want them to get big plays on offense. You want them to methodically move the ball down the field without mistakes. And so it would be better for them probably to play conservative if conservativeness still stops the run game.
Yeah.
Because now you're not in a situation where you're giving them too many opportunities to go down the field, because if you do that, eventually they're going to be able to make some plays. Well, Oklahoma State has problems is when they have to go more than 7 plays to score. And that is a situation that right now it doesn't bode well when you've got a guy, quite frankly, who's starting his first game. And so if Oklahoma State can get big plays, scoring 4 play drives or less, it'll be great for them. The quick passing game and breaking a long run seems like it's the way to go with Brendan Presley and John Paul Richardson right now. Green is a guy who's really having problems getting off the jam, man. He's having a big-time problem. Now, when the ball comes to him and he does get off the jam, he's making some pretty good plays in one-on-one contested. But unfortunately, everybody's right there with him. And so he's having separation issues from the defensive backs, and that goes a long way in him having problems down the field. A guy that I want to see a little bit more of, and probably they're going to have to burn his red shirt, is Chetron.
Yeah.
Because he does have 4.4 speed. He is 6'4". He could go get the football. He has everything that they need. But you talk about the red shirt issue, it's getting down to his third or fourth game right now. And so they got to make a decision on this deal. If they're not certain they're going to get these guys back with the Big 12 championship on the line, some decisions are going to have to be made.
TCU just scored a touchdown. Texas Tech got a sack on third and long. Guy barely grabbed the guy's face mask. Of course, TCU goes down and scores, so they're up 20-17 right now. It's a big day of college football. You can check it all out here at Grady's Pub. Not only are they going to have the OSU game on, they'll have the OU game on at the same time. So no matter where you're sitting here, there's a great view of the action. And, of course, some great Bud Light specials here, part of Bud Light Game Time in Anheuser-Busch. Gideon Hamilton, the two-time All-American, Rashawn Woods, Grady's Pub, Route 66, just off Main Street here in Yukon. You'll see a great vinyl shop right next to us as well under that Grady's umbrella. We'll come back, give some final thoughts, and don't go anywhere because you are going to hear from the head coach of the Cowboys, Mike Gundy, coming up here in just a little bit. This is Countdown to Kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, 98.1 FM, WWLS Sports Animal.
Countdown to Kickoff and Bud Light Game Time on the road. Sponsored by Remington Park Racing and Casino, Trade Pros Heat and Air, Bob Moore Ford, Amini's Galleria, and the Oklahoma Port Council.
Back here at Brady's Pub in Yukon, just off Route 66 here in downtown Yukon. Gideon Hamilton, two-time All-American at OSU. Rashawn Woods, great place to watch the game today. They'll have the OSU and OU game on at the same time. If you're looking for a place to come hang out, have some great drinks, Bud Light specials here. So as you know, whenever you hear that Rangel is taking those reps under Preston Wilson, both those guys got first-team reps this week with Spencer Sanders not practicing. He's obviously going to be that guy out of the chute. Doesn't mean Gundy won't play, but Rangel's thrown 2 passes in his OSU career. This was that game where they played. It was the 3rd game of the season, blowout game, and he got everybody in. Gundy played quite a bit, and Rangel only played a couple of series. And Gundy said after the game, I wish we would have gotten him a little bit more time. Maybe the purpose of that would be if Spencer did go out. Something we talked about prior to the season is, hey, you're on average losing a game or 2 every year with the way that he plays. These guys have to be prepared, and they certainly need to be. Rangel's a highly recruited kid, highly thought of, coming out of high school, be a true freshman.
Yeah, and you know this for Spencer, right? So Gundy, said the right thing there. I think Gunner's the guy, though. I mean, from all accounts of me watching him, he looks comfortable back there. He knows where to go with the football, and it appears that he's gonna. This is a good game for him to come in and play. And, Kansas is so defensively. They're a little bit worse than Oklahoma State, which is, I guess, not really saying a lot for Oklahoma State, but if there was a game to be rolling in right now, this would be probably the one. At least in the beginning of the year, if we circle the game, and okay, if we knew and could pick a game where Spencer wasn't going to play, which one would it be?
Yeah,
it would be Kansas.
Right.
So now that Kansas has won 5 straight and now have lost 3 in a row, it probably still is Kansas. So if he can get the job done here, it doesn't necessarily mean that he can get the job done against or would have gotten the job done against Kansas State or Baylor or so on and so forth. But at least that you're somewhat still formidable and you can score some points. But it's not all about Gunner. It's more so about the other guys and stuff as well. So lot of issues with injuries and holes in the offense and defense because of that.
TCU, I think this is the 6th game this year where either the starting quarterback didn't play or the starting quarterback was injured during the game. And this happened again with Baron Morton today for Texas Tech. The Red Raiders just went for it deep in their own territory on 4th down. Donovan Smith, who was the initial starter to begin this year, he's actually the 3rd quarterback that's played today for Texas Tech, had a wide open receiver in the flat, would have gone for at least 20 or 30 yards. Nobody was out there covering him. Instead, Smith ran up 1 yard straight into the line, was stopped, at TCU on the brink of scoring once again to lengthen that lead a little bit. 20-17 is the score right now in favor of TCU with 11:29 left to go in the 4th quarter. The thing about Kansas that usually you haven't had to worry about, Rashawn, you talked about this earlier, is how much Jalen Daniels plays or not. They do have some guys that can make plays this year. That's how they've been competitive in these games. So they can score a little bit defensively. You're coming off of giving up 50 to Kansas State a week ago. These guys need to make some plays today.
Right, and Kansas is not afraid to run the quarterback. A lot of quarterback option stuff that Daniels, before he got hurt, was so good at because, bottom line, you're playing with all 11 guys out there. And so that's a big-time advantage, but the risk is that you can lose quarterback. Kansas, the next guy in line, which I don't know the guy's name, but I've seen a couple of games or a couple of quarters with him. He can run the football very well, and he's completing the ball around 60% of his passes as well. So it's not like there's not a tremendous drop-off. Now, athletically, what you can do with running the football, there's a drop-off there. But all in all, the offensive identity of Kansas is still there. And defensively for Oklahoma State, they're going to have to get to the guy. The biggest problem for me is not the coverage down the field for Oklahoma State. It's the lack of pressure on the quarterback. game. We talked so much about all of those guys, having forward back, Colin Oliver being a freshman player of the year last year. It's been for the most part, he's been a non-factor. It's not because of him as much as it is, I think it's because of those guys not bringing pressure and being innovative on the defensive side of guys as far as play calling is concerned. So that really worries me. Asai on the inside has been pretty solid. But again, the linebacker play, safety play, those guys fitting at the next level, coming in, making plays, and just flat out getting after the quarterback wherever they are, and the scheme of it all is my biggest concern.
Yeah, let those guys play a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point after last week, you don't have much to lose. I know they're trying to hang on, but if you play that way, Rashawn, you're not going to be able to manage your way to an undefeated 4-game stretch here the rest of the way.
Yeah, and at some point it has to happen. And to me, the last 2 games defensively, you got to ask Mason this. At what point do you say, you know what, we can't just sit out here and just cover these guys. We may not be good enough. Right. What can I do as a coach to give us a chance to get off the field a little bit more consistently, right? And so if the ying's not working, try the yang. You've got a lot of series. It's not like after one game, if it doesn't work, it's the end of the road, because quite frankly, if you do the same thing and it doesn't work, what else is there? And so I think just the change in mindset, just bringing the pressure, being aggressive and just getting the quarterback to get the ball out, it's just a different change of pace there. And even the pressures that he does bring, it's just not enough, guys. They're still not getting the ball out.
Right.
And so I say, well, the guys may be bringing pressure 20% of the time or 30% of the time. I get that. But a 5-man pressure to me is not really bringing pressure. You're kind of simulating a pressure and hoping that the guy makes a bad decision kind of. Pressure is like, they got 6 guys blocking, we're going to bring set. Like cover 0, man to man. Okay, if this guy doesn't get the ball out, he's going to get killed type deal. Right. And you can always bring more guys than they can block. And you don't see a lot of that. And you can't do it every play. I get it, but at least a couple times, come on after the guy and see if we can get it down.
We've had a great time here at Grady's Bump. Rashawn is going to be here immediately following the game, taking your phone calls. He's going to cross over with those guys from OU Football Feedback, Jim and Al, as they cover the OU and Baylor game today. But get those phone calls ready for Rashawn afterwards. And that show will be on 98.9. So just a few clicks up your dial. 98.9 KISS FM is where you can find football feedback for both OU and OSU today. We'll have Thunder basketball over on the Sports Animal. That's going to do it for us. Kickoff at 2:30 today. The game you can see on FS1 between the Cowboys and the Jayhawks. I want to thank everybody here at Grady's Pub for their fantastic hospitality. Love being out here. This will be the perfect place if you're in the area to check out all of the college football action this afternoon. Big thank you to Louis Elder. Matt Meyer is coming up next with the College Game Day scoreboard, and we're just about to hear from the head coach of the Cowboys, Mike Gundy, is next. You're listening to Countdown to Kickoff on the Sports Animal.
Countdown